Good after midnight, before midday, everyone. How are you? It's great to have you here. My name is Michael Rowlands, and I'll be talking for 2.5 hours while these guys here sit and listen to me. We're going to be having a bit of a hangout about... How are you? Great to have you here. Oh, geez. I'm hearing myself. Oh, mute. Oh, God. I'm screwing it up already. Okay, sorry.
Who's there with you?
Who's here with me? Yeah, I'm going to get to that. Sorry, my hangout started talking back to me, and then I was like, oh, God. Okay, so here with me today, a bunch of my very, very good friends. I'll let them introduce themselves. I'll go down the line, starting with Mr. Tim.
I had to unmute. Fuck. I had to unmute myself. All right. Hello.
That's Tim. Mr. Bronx.
What's up?
Oh, I didn't know he was even there.
He's here. He's here.
He's lurking.
Mr. Shives.
Hello.
Mr. Mr. Coffin.
Ha ha. Oh, ha ha ha.
Thanks.
Nice one.
I'm here all week. Miss Winters.
Yes, guten Abend, alles. Alle? I don't know, I forget. My German sucks.
Yeah, wie geht's Ihnen? Yeah, mir geht es gut. Mrs. Curiosity. Sorry, I don't know.
Hello, how are ya?
Ms. Ashley.
Bienvenue.
Yep. Ms. Anarchist from the Americas.
Hello. Why are you censoring me, Michael, you feminist destitute cuck?
I'm the worst. And then Mr. Dom.
Hello.
Hi. Great. So that's everyone. What we're going to be doing. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. We're going to be talking about should we be engaging with the other side. So we've been through a bit of interesting turmoil recently in the community thing kind of going on with a public figure by the name of Lacy Green, who's decided that she wants to open the discourse. She's going to be the arbiter of public discourse between the anti-Jews and the pro-Jews, and we wanted to kind of have a discussion about how that kind of goes and how that works for us, and what we think about that kind of idea. So we're going to kind of go down the line, and everyone's going to kind of present their case, and then we'll have a bit of an open discussion, maybe take some questions from the audience or whatever. But there are a lot of people, so we're going to kind of try to take it one at a time and see how we go from there. So I'll start with the person on my right here, Mr. Tim. Do you want to let us know how you feel about the whole situation?
Well, I mean, sometimes I've been known as like the good social justice warrior or something, which is kind of an annoying label because sometimes like such douchebags, I don't want to shake that at some point, just be like another bad one, which would be nice. But yeah, I engage with anti-feminists and anti-social justice warrior people like quite often. I've been on a lot of their streams and talked to them a lot. I did a hangout with Jeff Holiday not long ago, which some people rightfully criticized, I think, because just some of the fucked up shit that the audience was saying. But yeah, I find that they're nice to you, and they can be nice to your face, but generally I find that they treat me like this strange object where I've got, like, they think my views are insane and I try to explain them, and then no matter how I try to explain them, they don't really listen to me, and we just end up having this ridiculous kind of like fight that doesn't really go anywhere. And I found that, you know, at the end of the day, it's quite hard for me to like trust these people because it always seems like they're trying to own me over something, or they're trying to like get me about something, or they think like Tim's just, you know, he's learning, he's growing, he's gonna become a shitlord. We just got to keep working on him, and then eventually he'll just be like posting pepes and like putting gas chamber memes and saying that there's only two genders, but we just got to keep working on him, and then we'll get him there, and then he'll be acceptable and fit within our nice narrow bounds. And I just find it like so irritating, and it seems like no matter how much I talk to like anti-feminist and anti-social justice people, they've always got this chip on their shoulder about like who I'm friends with or the fact that I have a different point of view. Like, they just don't like it. And eventually it just gets boring. They're like, Tim, do you want to have a hangout? And I'm like, oh, great. I can't wait to go on another stream where I just pointlessly argue at a wall for 2 hours. That sounds fun. You know, so it gets tiresome. And they send you all of these like videos, and all the videos are always just them talking about how stupid you are. And you're just like, why would I want to watch these videos about how stupid I am? You know, like, that doesn't sound fun. I'm not a masochist, you know? So for me, it's a mixed bag. And I think the whole Lacy Green thing, I don't care who she's going out with, and I don't care about her trying to talk to anti-feminists and anti-social justice people, whatever. People can make their own choices, and, you know, some people disagree with me engaging so much with anti-social whatevers. But what I do take issue with is the fact she's like dismissing so much criticism as like criticism that seems fairly reasonable because somebody said, check your privilege. She was just like, oh, you people don't get it at all. Block. And she's just like, I won't talk to you anymore. You're an extremist. And anybody who has any criticism of who she's hanging out with and the things that they have said, they get the block. They have to shut the fuck up. But then somebody with like a Kyrgyzstan avatar, she's like, tell me about your ideas, babe. I really want to hear, you know? That's the thing I take issue with, is the fact that she's closed to criticism from people that were her allies or have seemed to be allies. Now she's just throwing them under the bus at every given opportunity. And that's the problem I have. I don't care about her engaging with people, just the way she's doing it is kind of douchey. So, yeah, I think that's me.
Cool. Yep. Good stuff.
I don't know. Was that good? Oh, shit. Yeah.
You did really well, Tim. We good. Hey, Bronx, you want to add anything and talk about what you think about the whole situation?
Yeah, I hope, am I clear? Can everybody hear me? Am I choppy? Am I clear?
Yeah, you good. You good.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. All right, so picking up from where Tim left off, I agree with him that Lacy Green is doing something. Lacy Green says she's doing one thing, and I think that she either intentionally or unintentionally is doing the other, which is to say that she's claiming to engage when she's figuratively and literally getting in bed with the other side. Like literally, like I've been on a bunch of hangouts with like shitlords or whatever, and I've always come out with my, you know, I've been able to be cordial, reasonable, but I've been able to generally come out with my core foundational principles intact. I didn't come out and go, you know who I hate now? Christy Winters and Steve Shives. I really hate them. Thanks for converting me, crowd and deep. And people know that early on, when I first actually came into YouTube, one of the first bigger YouTubers that actually brought me into their stuff was Crown T. And that was just to have me on as like a counterpoint, right? Meaning because there weren't any other social justice people in his circle. So like there would be a hangout and then I would represent our positions. And I think that is the only reason I've ever really gone into hangouts from there, is so that they don't have a dais without at least one person who is not fucking straw manning our arguments. You know what I mean? At least if I can just get one or two really good points in my opinion, and not in a debate format, but in a hangout, like on a dais, I think it's good to have one of us there just to give a little bit of balance. I think that's useful. As far as debates, I really liked the debate that Christy did with Sargon. That it was very well moderated. It was formally very important to the community to show that we do engage. But I personally don't think that I'm the right meaning like to each their own, right? So some people are more suited towards hangouts, some people are more suited towards debates, and some people, when people come to me, the first thing they come to me with is, isn't, Steve Shives the worst? And I'm like, wait a minute, you poisoned the well so much with this guy, and then you come to me and ask why I'm sitting here and he's not. You haven't fucked with me that much. So again, I think it's fair to use like the metric of how poisoned is this well? Like, you know what I mean? If the person has at least approached you in a civilized manner, then I think it's fair to engage with them, as long as they haven't like fucked all your friends. You know what I mean? But that's my opening statement.
I'll just echo what Bronx just said a little bit. I do think that there's room for a variety of different methods and a variety of different modes of engagement. And I have always said that even though I personally think that it's just a complete waste of time to talk to any of these people, that I'm glad that there are other people on this side in this hangout even who are more willing to reach out than I am. Not because I think that it will really do any good, but just because I'm not so confident in the way I'm doing it that I think that's the only way that anybody should ever do it. I do think that the main reason that I feel it's a waste of time is that I don't trust any of their motives. Like, I just don't. And Bronx kind of said this in his statement just now in a way too. Like, I don't think any of them are interested in engaging in good faith. I think when they say they want a discussion or they want a debate, that's not what they actually want. The only thing that they truly seem to care about is to get people to pay attention to them. And that's basically it. And why would I want to aid them in drawing attention to themselves? And the other thing is, a lot of them try to cultivate this this sense that, well, there's our side and there's the other side, but we're all kind of playing the same game. We're like opposing teams, you know, we're like the Red Sox and the Yankees, but we're all kind of playing together. And I just reject that completely. Maybe some people, maybe other people, maybe some of you all see it that way. I don't see it that way. I don't see them as people I'm playing with. I don't see them as people I want to talk to. I don't see them as people I want to associate with at all. I seriously don't like them and think that they're doing bad, harmful things. And I'm not interested in engaging with them or in trying to persuade them or in having arguments with them. I don't talk about them on my channel, except for events like these. I don't talk about them publicly at all. And that's the only way I have ever thought to handle them. They attack me, they attack my friends, they attack my family, they attack anybody who disagrees with them or anybody who makes a convenient target, and they profit from those attacks. So as far as I'm concerned, they can all go to hell. But the exception I would make is if somebody reaches out to you in private, as has been done with me on very rare occasions and has never been done with me with any of the big ringleaders. Like, none of the people who have made response videos about me or about Christie or about Francesca Ramsey or Kat Black, who have gotten like hundreds of thousands of views and basically built careers on attacking people. None of those guys have ever privately reached out to me, which I think is telling. But I have occasionally got private emails from people who are sort of on that side of things, who have been interested in asking questions or having conversations. And if I judge that that person is reaching out in good faith, I will respond and I will try to have a conversation with them in private. But if you come out in public and you're basically just grandstanding before your audience and throwing out all these big macho challenges to debates and hangouts and stuff, and it's obvious that you don't really care about any of that, that you just care about promoting yourself and drawing attention to you, then I have no time in the day for you. And there's nothing that could convince me to pay attention to you in that way. I think if people are really as serious about having debates and conversations and open discourse as they say they are, then they would be a lot more willing to reach out privately, at least reach out privately first to say, hey, just, you know, person to person between me and you, would you be interested in having a conversation? Here's what I want to talk about. And the fact that most of them don't bother doing that, I think speaks for their true motives. So now I'll shut up.
Peter, go for it.
I actually think a lot of similar things to that. Not entirely similar, because I do think that there are methods that are more productive than other methods. I'm not a big fan of the way debates have been done on in Hangouts and overall. And when I say debates, I often include what a lot of people are calling Hangouts, because they will call them debates. They will be like, debate me, and then it's really just basically a bunch of people yelling over each other in a hangout. It's not a moderated debate, so to speak. And there's almost never a moderated debate. It's almost always that, if you're going in with the types of people that are generally looked at here. Now, if the other side is maybe, I, for instance, have very leftist views. So for me, a lot of the time, the other side might be liberals, like on the instance of healthcare. It's a free market solution versus a more social safety net solution. That is very easy to find somebody who's willing to go in on a debate in good faith. People actually believe what they believe. They're not trying to characterize each other as specific things. They're not trying to strawman. They're not trying to do things like that. But when you go in with the reactionaries, so to speak, and I haven't done this because I've watched enough of them to know not to do this. They don't like me, and I know exactly how they'll treat me if I do something like that. But what it seems like they're generally trying to do is to brand you, to sort of make you look like what they've said publicly to their followers that you are. And that seems to be the main motive when they, like Steve said, they almost never come. I've never had a single one of them reach out to me privately a single time. I've had people challenge me publicly, which I just totally ignore. I just brush it away. Don't really think about it. But I agree with the idea that essentially when you take something where there is probably going to be a heated disagreement, but you publicly challenge it, you're sort of establishing a different motive than actually attempting to get people's views out there. I'm not a big marketplace of ideas person. I don't really believe in the whole put out two views and let the audience decide what's the truths and blah, blah. I'm not really big into that. I'm more into presenting cases, specific one-off. I'm more into rhetoric than I am into debate, basically. I think that if we're really talking about people being able to make up their minds, I think having people be able to present the best case that they think rather than argue over each other, I think is a lot more useful.
Yeah, so just following up on what Peter said, if you're done. Yeah, you're muted, so you are. So yeah, obviously I'm taking a bit of a minority view here in that I'm a fan of debates, but like Peter was saying, the terminology is actually really important here. What I don't mean by debate is two people on a hangout who just hash it out. That for me is just a hangout. So I would say, a hangout is two people in a hangout, no moderation, no clear question, just back and forth. A formal debate has a moderator, a clear question, timed points for people. They can, then there's a response where you get to respond to someone's opening statement, and they can respond to your opening statement, and there's a closing statement. So, my experience is very much, and also, sorry, the other thing I want to say is to echo what everybody else said. I don't want to impose my view of how to engage on anyone else, but here are my conditions, right? I actually really found the formal debate to be a good experience, and it was my first debate ever. But what was important about it is, I occasionally will watch hangouts from people on the other side. And I remember two specific instances. One, when the Milo stuff initially started to blow up about something he wrote about how the internet should be moderated and some people should be taken off the internet. And I'd done a video about it. And I think it was Honey Badgers did something similar, and I went to watch it because it was Milo drama at the time and it was timely. So I tuned in, and they mentioned my video, and they just trashed me. Like on air, they're just talking about how horrible I was. And then I made a comment in the chat, and they went, "Oh, Christy Winter's in the chat. You should join. You should come and join us." I'm like, "You just trashed me. What, you think I did not hear that? Why would I want to come and spend time with you?" Another experience was Fox from the West, or Fox in the West. I know that guy who sucks up to Sargon all the time. And same too, I was watching some of his hangouts, and they're trashing me. He's trashing me. And then on Twitter, he's like, "Oh, would you like to have a polite conversation?" I'm like, bridge burned. You think I don't hear what you people say about me? Why do you think that I would trust to sit in a room with you and let you insult me? And I guess, the other thing too is, I'll just be upfront. There was I basically trolled Bering. He doesn't realize this. I don't think the white YouTuber did either, but there was an attempt to try to get Bering and I to sit down in a hangout. I went along with it because I knew he wouldn't do it based on my conditions. And my conditions were very simple. The whole point was to talk about the doxing allegations, his false allegations against me, his defamation. And my condition was, if we're going to talk about it, we only talk to evidence, because I got a lot of evidence, Patrick, that I want to present to you. I have questions for you about your music channel where you use your first and last name. I have questions about you, about your fans doxing you on your Facebook page. I have a lot of things that I want to ask you. And he would not go near it. He wanted to get me in a stream on his channel so that he could bring me down to his level and call me sexual slurs and humiliate me for his fans. And that is why I only do formal debates. Because here's what we all know. Most of these guys and some of the women, they don't know anything. They make up a lot of stuff. So like when Kevin was on with War Corpse would ask Kevin a question, Kevin would respond, Kevin would make good points, and then War Corpse would do the dance. He would do slippery slope fallacies, he would do what ifs, he would change the topic, anything to avoid having to actually deal with Kevin's valid points. And in a formal debate, when you have to speak for 10 minutes on your topic, and then you have to defend your position in another 5-minute segment or another 7-minute segment, and then you have to make a closing argument that's convincing to an audience, that's intellectual work. That's hard, and they won't do it. And that's why I only do formal debates. And I'm done.
Thanks, Christy.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thanks. Chris, you're up next.
All right, well, I mean, my position is generally proceed, but with caution, you know, and I want to go back to a little of what Christy was saying. Nobody has the right to treat you abusively and expect you to sit there and smile because it's just words. You can and should stand up for your own dignity as well as that of others. And I'm not saying I never insult people or get worked up in arguments, but, you know, I wouldn't call people names if they said, well, you're being a jerk, I'm out of here. Like, oh, okay. You know, I've had good relationships with people from the other side, but for everyone that worked out, there are 10 just crushing disappointments. It's frustrating, it's stressful. Stress is not good for you. You know, so do it if you feel like there's a benefit for it. But first of all, never let anybody convince you it's some sort of obligation. You know, if you don't feel comfortable, if it's not right for you, you're not under any obligation to do this. You know, not jumping every time they throw out the hook does not put you in an echo chamber and mean you're the worst person in the world. Everybody's different in what they can do, what they want to do, what their situation is. So just, I mean, I think that I give people a chance, and if they burn me, they're gone to me, and sometimes, every now and then, they don't burn you. Every now and then, they're okay. And then, you know, it's good.
Thanks, Chris. Ashley.
Well, I'm really not for engaging with these people for similar reasons, kind of like what Christy was saying, but also kind of what Steve alluded to. It's like it's just too many times. Like I've seen, oh my god, I've responded to so many I've responded to not so many, but just enough videos where people just couldn't be bothered to get off their ass and do the tiniest bit of research. It's like, but they want to talk about these things that they don't understand. And it's like, okay, you don't understand it. That's why you do research. It's like, but if you can't be bothered, then why would we have a discussion? It's just like, and I've had too many of these people just act like dicks for no reason to me. And it's like, people will come and look at my like Twitter profile or my blog and be like, oh my god, this is so cancerous. It's just like, why would I want to debate with these people? And it's just a waste of my time. It's like I don't want to give a platform to these people. It's just like my time is not best spent doing that. Like, for God's sake, I remember on when I commented on one of his videos, Warcorp 666 challenged me to debate about veganism on my channel. I'm just like, no, because what's there to debate? I have information about veganism on my channel, on my blog. It's like, what's there to debate? It's like, that's not productive use of my time. It's much better for me to research one of these issues related to, or at least tangentially related to, veganism or feminism or anti-racism or what have you, and just make an informational video or an informational post on my blog about it. It's like, why would I want to engage with someone who has a quote-unquote opposing view? It's like, that's not the best use of my time. It's like, and it's, I made, my last video was about, my most recent video on my channel is about like how I've come from a past of bullying, and it's just like, it's like, so I've met people like this many times. It's like, and those were kids. These are grown adults acting this way. It's just like, no, just, it's not worth it. So that's basically it.
Thanks, Ashley. Rose.
All right. So the position that I take is largely, one, it really depends on who the other side is, because often I find that something like this is actually me talking to the other side, kind of. It depends on what the issue is, of course. Like with Peter, I am very far left as an anarchist. I am not in favor of capitalism, so sometimes this means I have to talk to a liberal about the ethics of capitalism. I'm willing to engage within reason. When it comes to a lot of anti-feminists, though, similar to the point that Steve has made, when it comes to a lot of them, they see, no, it's fine. I actually told Ashley at the beginning, or before we started, that my name was perfectly fine to use. All right, so, but yeah, so I take the position that you largely should not engage with anti-feminists, especially if they aren't genuine. I haven't come to the conclusion of you shouldn't debate anti-feminists because their minds can't be changed. I've come to the conclusion that most anti-feminists who you're dealing with are not genuine about wanting to actually talk about issues and about actually wanting to hash things out. They just want a power trip. They want to say, look, I don't lock out opposing ideas. Here's a feminist. They want to do it for kind of ego points, and I really do not like to feed into their ego. Even if it means that I have to kind of sacrifice my own ego of saying I don't, of saying like, hey, I don't lock out opposing views. But as I did early on in my channel engage with a lot of people outside of my outside of the feminist circle. There are a couple who I would do it with again, mainly Bane666 AU, who was generally pleasant to talk to, but going on, like, I went on to War Corpse's channel once and I absolutely regretted it. It was an hour and a half of just sitting there having him yell out points that were not based in facts, and me just being like, look, I don't even know where to start with this. I just want this to end. I need to drink after this. So that's my point, is that I generally don't engage, especially when they're not genuine. And there's very few cases where I do. For the most part, I don't think it's necessary to engage with the other side.
Cool. Thanks. Next up, last on the list.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, you're good.
Okay, so I'm coming more from a kind of viewer, consumer perspective on YouTube and all these debates. And basically, something that's really been important for me is commenting, but not just commenting, but the communities that build up underneath videos and underneath these sort of debates and arguments. So that's why, for me, the most important is the format of a response video, or well thought out and researched responses, and things like linking to blog posts with all the either scientific evidence or, you know, written out viewpoints. And I think it's important in a lot of these, a lot of things that started happening with these anti-SJW channels targeting smaller channels and basically getting them shut down. For me, it was important to, you know, come in there in the comments and say, your video was great. You have like 100 subscribers. It was great. I looked up all the links and I liked your points, and you should make another response video because I think you had a better argument than the other person. So, you know, sometimes on YouTube, the creators, it seems, kind of forget that a lot of this stuff, a lot of their content gets debated either in the comments or other places. And yeah, it's been great to say, look, I can link you to this video, I can link you to these articles, I can link you to this information, which I got from someone who's much cleverer than me, who's done all the research. And, you know, then these people who are the viewers, they look up various content and they can compare it. Like, for instance, early on, like a few years back, I had no idea about trans issues at all, or, you know, intersectional feminism so far as trans rights or black feminism, things like that. And, you know, I looked at the different YouTube videos of different trans people giving their arguments and backing it up with data and saying how they felt and how the different arguments were either flawed or were actually, you know, harmful to them. And that's what got me where I am today. I mean, without all these channels just making responses to each other and just throwing it backwards and forwards in that way, then I don't think I would have got to the information at all. So, you know, formal debates are good, and engaging in a way that's constructive from your perspective, and with the support of your fans, of a community that's saying, thanks for that video, it really helped me, and enabling people who actually have good arguments to respond and to get their viewpoint out there. I think that's important. So
cool. Thank you. Thank you. I think Christy wanted to say something real quick. So go for it, Christy.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to say also that, you know, we think a lot about the actual interactions themselves, but what people probably don't think about is the fallout. So, you know, I had a real spike in harassment after my debate with Sargon because, you know, he, at the end when there was a Q&A, and it was supposed to be a Q&A from audience members to us, and he used it as an opportunity, because he hadn't had one, to just go after me and demand I read Obama's mind as to why he used a statistic like I would know. And so another reason I think that puts me off, or maybe puts other people off, is that you know that if you do go on these hangouts, you're basically making yourself a target for harassment from the fans of the anti-feminist channel that you're visiting. And so it ends up being just a generally negative experience all the way around, and not a positive one. So, you know, if I do another debate, I know that afterwards I'm probably going to see a spike in my harassment and rape threats and comments and everything else on my channel. And that's another thing that kind of, you know, makes, I think, some people wary of getting involved. And I know Christy Elsity had a great point too. So by the way, I'm going to sacrifice my spot because I know so many people want to get in on this. So I'm going to go ahead and drop out a little bit early. And then I know some other wonderful people will be joining and giving a great discussion. So first, I think this was really interesting, and I love all the perspectives, and I agree that we need them all, different forms of engagement, and also there's valid reasons for not engaging. And I think we need both people who make principled stances about why they don't engage and other people who do engage. So again, I'm going to check out, but you guys are awesome, and I'll watch offline. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for being here, Christy. Chris, did you have something you wanted to say?
Bye, Christy.
Yeah, just quickly, because I don't think anybody brought this up unless they did when I was running out to the kitchen. Privilege is something that factors into this too. You know, some people who maybe people of color, or maybe women, or maybe trans, and they face a different level of harassment or a different level of just vitriol from people, and it's more of a risk for them. So, you know, I know, for instance, like there's a whole scale, and it just seems like it tends to be white guys are the most comfortable, you know, and it's because they don't have quite as much to lose most of the time, you know. And it's also, there's a big difference between when you're in there arguing something in theory and when you're arguing, you know, something that is from your own heart, from your own body, from your own life. Like if I'm arguing about rape laws, that is something, you know, that's going to affect me and my family in a different way, perhaps, than it would affect different people. And I realize that was a bad example, but I think you know what I mean. It's just when something, say, abortion laws are going to affect women differently. It's not a theoretical discussion whether or not I have access to, you know, care and a doctor in a reasonable amount of time. It's not something I can just, well, let me think about that. You know, it's very real. So that's all.
Cool. Hey, cool. Great to kind of hear from someone, from everyone. Great ideas. I suppose I'll sort of put in my 2 cents as well. You guys said a lot of stuff that I agree with, definitely. The way I kind of go about things, I kind of have a similar policy of, if you're a dick to me, then I have no interest in having a discussion with you at all. I had an interesting interaction, and I actually I find it quite fun when I have people come to me on YouTube or whatever, and they're like, debate me, motherfucker, and I'm like, no, you know, it'll be something like, hey, I really enjoyed your points. They were really interesting. It'd be great if we could have a debate, you slimy piece of shit. No, you know, I had this interaction with the what's his name, the atheist gamer, and he came along onto my to my YouTube channel and left this big squeal of comments and stuff and and it sort of came to the fact that he wanted to have a discussion or whatever, and I was like, no, you can come back in a month or so when you've taken a chill and said some nice things to me, maybe, and asked in a nice way rather than how you've kind of done it now, and then we can talk about it. And he was just like, oh, okay, well, and then he kind of skulked off into the shadows. So, you know, that's kind of my thing. If you're kind of nice to me, then we'll probably have a discussion. But if not, then, you know. So I've engaged quite a lot with a bunch of anti-feminist people in this kind of informal debate sense, on like a hangout like this. Like I had a hangout with Peach Bailey a week or so ago, and I often hang out with the Dolphin Radio. That and less of a kind of talking about politics capacity and more of a just chatting about stuff, because he's got this kind of thing that he does where he wants to help kind of humanize the issues, because we're all kind of like aliens to them, I suppose, kind of like what Tim said. And I enjoy doing that, the kind of discussion format where I'll go on with a person and they either ask me a bunch of questions and I kind of let them know what you know, what I kind of think about things, because what often kind of happens is you get the followers of these audiences tend to get their opinions about what we think and our ideas and stuff from the people who make videos about us. So they kind of get this twisted, distorted sense of what we actually believe, and unless we're there to kind of clear things up, you know, it's this kind of telephone Chinese whispers kind of thing, where and so your views get all distorted and you get turned into this crazy caricature. And so when I go on to a chat with some of these people, they're like, wow, you're actually a lot more reasonable than I thought you were. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not crazy, and I'm not wanting to kill all men or some shit like that. So there's that. And the other thing I kind of wanted to say is this whole there seems to be, with Lacy lately, there's been this kind of conflation of like formal debate, hangout kind of debates, and just being friends with people. And Lacy said that she's wanted to open up this debate with people and open up the discussion, da 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 da. But then she's kind of gone, you know, when people have voiced concerns about stuff or said, yes, we'd like to have a discussion. Many of us, I know Kevin has gone forward and said that she'd like to have a discussion. Many people, and she's been like, nah, I don't want to do that. But she's going, and she's put out, she said that she wants to, you know, I don't want to talk to people who talk to men that way or to women that way. And then she goes and hangs out with Blair White and is friends with Andy Warski, which I can't wrap my head around because he's such a deplorable piece of shit. I'm sorry, but the more I watch of his stuff, the more I'm like, what? So Lacy's friends with this guy now. And she's also banging Chris Ray Gun, who is also just, it's like, there's a difference between doing that and actually just challenging the ideas. It's two completely different things. And the last thing I wanted to say after I finish my big ramble is this kind of thing about there being two sides of the same coin. The fact that anti-feminism and feminism are two sides of the same coin. They're both as reasonable. There's just as, you know, they're not. You know, it's like people, like everyone was kind of saying, people who have actually done proper research and understand these topics, and then there's just the reactionary kind of blah 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 to, oh, I object, I'm rational, I'm being objectionable, therefore I am rational and I am other side of coin. No, that's not how it works. That's not how discussion works. That's not how we advance ideas. And I can see that Peter would like to add something to that, so I'm going to end my little thing and you can go for it, Peter.
Hey, doesn't Kevin quickly first need his little spiel and then we can move on? Or?
Let Peter say his thing, because I think it's
sorry.
add on from what I was going to say. So.
Oh yeah, sure. Yep.
Oh, well, a lot of the time, in order to be taken seriously by people, in order to sort of open a dialogue, one has to make concessions. One has to actually sort of say, okay, well, I see where you're coming from on that. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to agree with it, but you end up having to make concessions to people who are saying something that is absolutely outrageous. And that really, in order to show that you're working in good faith, you end up having to say, oh, I understand that. I see where you're coming from. And that kind of lends a legitimacy to a lot of really outrageous things. And it ends up
for us that, like, you know, whenever I go into
exactly, and they won't do it the other way at all.
Yeah, it doesn't kind of cut. There's no slide back, so inevitably you just kind of slide that way, and you know. Yeah,
and in order to act in good faith towards them, you have to do that, but they won't reciprocate in any way.
And we have to do that because we're the crazy feminists who never have discussions because we're always in
exactly. We're never listening to anybody, so we have to go and listen about twice as hard as you would in an actual, real, good faith conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Good point. Yeah, I'll just introduce Kevin real quick, and then we'll get Ashley to say something. So, hey, welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. Do you want to say a thing or two?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, the point you made about challenging. That's I think the difference. Like, I've gone on live streams with 1,000,001 different fucking people. I don't get that much shit from it because I challenge the person's views. I don't go on there to agree with them and be chummy. I'll go on there to challenge what they have to say and to oppose what they have to say, because what they have to say is fucking toxic. And the fact that they've got large audiences means I can reach a larger number of people than my tiny channel can. So I think it's worthwhile. Whereas what Lacy's doing is pandering, coin and for opportunity for her career. That's all that's happening there. If she was opening up debate, fine. Debate. Like, she's been in sex education for 10+ years and she needs to ask, well, what do you think about identity politics? And tell me why you think there are two genders. Oh, fuck off, you disingenuous prick. Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like Bill Maher syndrome, right? Inviting fucking Miley Yiannopoulos on and calling him Christopher Hitchens.
Well, literally, she's become a parody of herself now because Dave Rubin's invited her on the show. So,
I mean, can I mention something quickly?
That's when you disappear up your own arse when Dave Rubin wants a piece of it, you know.
Yeah. You know. Ashley had something to add, so I'll go to Ashley first.
That's cool.
Yeah, the whole feminists and anti-feminists have equally valid points. That's kind of an extension of the whole what's it called, horseshoe theory, that the far left and the far right are exactly the same. But oh my god, if you all haven't subscribed to Lily Pete yet, you should. She is freaking awesome, and she actually made a really good video about why that doesn't make sense. Well, she's a media critic, so she talked about it from a storytelling concept as well as a real world kind of concept, context rather. How it only really makes sense if you strip all the nuance. It's like, okay, what are the two sides? Okay, the two sides are fighting, but what are they fighting about? It's like feminists want progress. Anti-feminists want to go back to a time when like women were second-class citizens, basically, say nothing of how LGBTQ plus people were treated. It's like So no, they're not exactly the same. I think the whole fascination with that kind of attitude, in terms of not just feminism but politics in general, it's I don't even want to blame. I don't want to say like I don't want to argue it's completely just because of like television or something, but like South Park like champions that a lot. Like it's to creators or big champions of the whole status quo is God. Like both sides are equally wrong. Being centrist is wisdom, basically.
Yes, the whole centrist thing is, as I find, pretty goddamn bullshit, to be honest. I'm so middle of the road. Look how great I am. These guys are stupid and these guys are stupid, but I'm smart and I'm cute and I like bunnies. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. Tim, go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say there's a guy in the chat called Academic Agent. He used to be called the Academic Anti-SJW, and he had the series, the academic like underpinnings history of SJWs or something, and you know it was quite interesting because he's got a lot of knowledge. He knows a lot about history and philosophers and theories, and he mentioned a lot of things that I hadn't really heard of. But then he comes to these like crazy conclusions and like. And this is why people with blue hair yell and they are crazy, and this is why they're like infantile children because of, I don't know, Rousseau or some shit.
But Tim, you only think that because you are a crazy cultural Marxist. So
that's a good point. No, but like, anyways, he offered he's making this series.
The hangout was missing. Kevin just interjecting.
He's making this series called like the Culture War.
Well, people are making like. People were making coherent points and not interrupting and swearing randomly, and I thought, fuck that
Kevin,
noise.
Shut up. Ban him, Michael. Anyways, so he's making the series.
It's literally my channel. What the fuck?
Shut up! He's making the series called like interviews or like I don't know discussions from the culture or some shit, and he said on like Bearing, Sargon, and Undoomed or some shit. And then he's like, Tim, do you want to come on representing the like SJW side or something? It's like, no, I don't. I don't want to be in a series with those fuck faces. I don't want to be anywhere near them. I'm not interested in their point of view. And I don't want to be like your representative of social SJWs and shit. Like if Sargon is in a series, shove your series.
I've got something to say because I did take him up on that offer. I did go into that series as the SJW, and I made you all look like fucking.
Did you actually do it?
I represented you all very poor. Yeah, and it was fun actually. It was just he just asked questions and didn't really. Yeah, it was
you're
all right.
Enabling Bearing, you're being in the same series as him. Like, oh, Bearing is like a valid, and Sargon are like valid counterpoints to me, and I represent the kind of like. Niche side view of social justice.
You know, I don't see it that way because, frankly, I'm putting a counterpoint, a counter narrative to their bullshit in a place they would otherwise not be. That's the way I look at it. I'm putting in the series Bearing at all. In that entire channel, on that entire series, that might be the only time they ever get a counter narrative. So fuck it, I might as well put my tuppence into the ether, so to speak.
I suppose that's true.
Kevin, one question: like, was that the video where you were talking about Antifa?
Yes.
Oh yeah, here you are. Interviews with the cuck SJW loser Kevin Logan. And then,
I insisted he called.
And then here's all these comments saying Kevin's stupid.
Like I think like
fine.
at a
my own channel.
At a certain point, people for me are beyond beyond.
Thanks for highlighting Kevin's stupidity
anymore. You know. So for example, Bearing. I've had a live discussion with him and back and forth and all that sort of thing, and
he kicked you out. He kicked you the fuck out, boy.
He's just beyond reason. There's no reasoning with him. He's got his prerogative. He's got his agenda, and he's sticking to that. There's no changing that stuff. And there are people like that. And at a certain point, you've just got to go, well, nah, there's no point in even engaging with those people. And with the whole Lacy thing, I think it's kind of weird because she seems to she doesn't know that about people. So she's kind of just
you know, that's the bollocks of it, right? She does. She perfectly well knows exactly what these people are. She's been around as a very popular YouTuber for a decade now. She knows exactly who these people are and what they stand for, but she knows the coin that comes along with it. So she's prepared to just go, fuck it, and throw everyone under the bus. Let's not pretend that she's naive here.
Yeah, but like
She's incredibly
what I
cool.
kind of mean is she hasn't necessarily been engaging in that kind of because she has a channel, she does her thing, she gets pushback from those people, but she hasn't actually been in there. Like I wouldn't have known that there was no point in engaging with Bering until I actually went in there and engaged with them and found out that there was just no point in engaging with them. I suppose it's kind of what I mean. Chris has something to say. Go for it, Chris.
Sorry, my son just came
Literally,
running
the
up.
first noise we hear is children.
I know.
That's the
It's
second
like-
thing we were missing.
His robot broke, so we've had a devastating
you last
loss.
I told you last
So
time
anyway.
to stop fucking feeding them. What's wrong with you?
Anyway, it's not an important or vital thing, but I just want to tell people everywhere, I don't care if you were blocked by Steve. I don't care when it happened. I don't care what the context was. I don't care if you talked to him before or not. I don't
do. I hope.
care. Listen,
Can I just say, I
he
do
is
care.
a block, but okay, just get over it. He's not your ex. He doesn't want to
Can I
talk
just say,
to you.
quickly, I do care if you were blocked by Steve, and I hope you fucking were. I hope everyone in the world gets blocked by Steve Shive. That would be amazing. If you literally blocked 7 billion fucking people, except me, obviously. Don't block
Should
me.
we just say that so recently Shu has been going on a blocking spree, but she still continues to complain about the fact that she's blocked by Steve. Nice.
Well, I'm blocked by Mr. Intellectual fucking space on the internet, intellectual marketplace, fucking Thunderfoot. I'm blocked by the man who thinks that blocking is the most evil thing ever. So that these people can fuck themselves.
I'm blocked by Dawkins. I'm blocked by Richard Dawkins. I don't know why I am. Anyway, Steve, you had something to say. Ed,
You need to be far more racially insensitive, Mike. Then he'd love.
I'm blocked by Trump. I'm blocked by Trump.
Oh, jealous.
I'm proud of that.
I don't care if
McDermott.
I don't care if you're blocked by me either, for the record.
I was blocked by what's his face, James Woods and Gavin McInnes.
James,
I got
Woods,
Cernovich,
that's really
so
weird.
there.
I have.
Yeah, I'm already blocking him.
All right.
I'm blocked by Rebel Media.
Order. Steve, go. Steve.
Can before I get to the point I wanted to make, I mean, I'm fascinated that anybody gives a shit that anybody blocks them, to be honest. Like that, the whole thing is just beyond me. Like people who are all, in a tizzy because I blocked them or because somebody, I just can't relate to that. I've discovered here and there that I've been blocked by people. I've never given a shit. I could not possibly even imagine caring that somebody blocked me.
Well,
I think it's
Sargon blocked me. I was really sad.
How comfortable does your life have to be that Twitter matters?
But when Sargon,
How comfortable is your life that Steve Shives blocking you on Twitter is like a big fucking deal?
but when Sargon
People,
blocked me,
not just that, but the amount of
Shives locked me out of his house. And he won't let me in. Why won't he let me into his house?
I just want to say
that, but
say something real quick.
I've seen so many people with blocked by Steve Shive as like their banner or in their bio, as if that's some massive achievement. It's not.
how
if
empty
you
is your
wanna
fucking
know-
life?
Yeah, if
I
you
just
want to
wanna
know
say-
about put that in your Twitter bio. Not I've been blocked by Steve Shive, for fuck's sake.
When I was blocked by Sargon, I was really sad because I genuinely find his tweets hilarious and really funny, and I love seeing him self-own, and he's such a joke. It's so funny. But then I got blocked by TJ Kirk, and I was like, I'm not missing anything, so I don't care. I was like, that's just amusing because I don't like TJ's tweets aren't even funny; they're just boring. But with Sargon, I was like, I don't get to see all the juicy stupidity coming out of Sargon, which sucks.
Peter's.
Well, today you missed with Sargon today. The anti-authoritarian arguing that because we've had a terrorist attack, he now wants the government to be able to snoop on everyone's private communications.
Yeah,
Classical liberal.
TJ just says boring shit. So when he blocked me, I was like, don't care at all. But with Sargon, it's like I'm missing everything.
Okay, Peter, you had something to add. Mute
Oh
yourself.
well, I've used a
I think
block.
Steve,
I've
did
used
Steve
a block
make his
list
point
in the
at the end?
past.
Shut up, Kevin.
I've used a block list in the past.
Peter go.
And I disconnected it from my account thinking that that would unblock all of the people. So I still get a ton of people. Like I even got a comment this morning from somebody who's like, you blocked me on Twitter, unblock me. It's like, I don't want to unblock you. I'm actually working on unblocking everybody I've blocked from the block list. So I want these people not to have that excuse to like get into my comments like, you've got me blocked. And it's like, well, I wouldn't talk to you anyway. I just don't understand. Like to echo what Steve said, I don't understand why it matters.
No. Yeah, I have a very strict. Well, it's not very strict, but I have rules about my blocking policy. If the first thing you say to me is that I'm a piece of shit or something, I block you instantly. If you have Kek in your name, I block you. If you have a Pepe avatar, I block you. You know, there's a bunch of things that I'll do, and I also use block bots. And I think there's a disconnect because some people don't know that block bots exist, or they don't, something like that. They don't understand.
I think you do it personally.
What's that? That's right.
They think you do it personally. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like somebody really spends their day blocking that many people.
Yeah. Going through Twitter and being like, no, block, fucking block. No.
I found you. You're done.
Get confused, right? They're like, I have never even talked to this guy and I'm blocked already. I'm like, yeah, well, we use block bots. That's a thing. And the fact that they don't understand that, I suppose that can factor into them being kind of weirded out about it. But
Did Steve have anything else to say before everyone interrupted?
Kyrgyzstan, whatever. Yeah, you're getting blocked. Fuck off.
Did Steve have anything left to say after everyone cut him off?
Shut up, Tim.
God damn it. Mute fucking Kevin, for God's sake. And then Anarchist Man wants to talk after that.
Rose has something to say after this, yeah.
But did Steve have anything else to say before everyone was like, I'm interrupting you again before you even start?
I just wanted to say, first of all, about the shoe on head thing, I wouldn't talk to her in person either. So if that makes her feel any better, I doubt we'll ever be. I doubt we'll ever be in the same place at the same time. But if she ever approached me, I think I joked about it on Twitter. If she ever approached me and tried to strike up a conversation, it will be one of the happiest moments of my fucking life to just turn around and walk the fuck away from her without saying a word, because fuck her.
Here comes more videos. Oh, good job, Steve. Well done. Someone's gonna Bearing's gonna cut this bit out and be like, intercutting it with me.
They never called him out. Everybody always wants me to call you out, Steve.
Ooh,
I don't care.
This is
call me out for what? You know what I love? People say,
I don't like it.
People say, how big is your block list? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't care.
You count them. Your little ticker
I
every
don't
time.
care. It's not big enough. Not big enough is the answer. But no, I wanted to make a point really just briefly about, the point of having discussions and having debates. And I think we have to keep in mind, first of all, that a debate is supposed to be between two informed parties. And when Christy said earlier about her debate with Sargon, that was half of a great debate, because Christy actually knew what she was talking about, and then the other half of it was just this blithering twit who had no idea about anything. And that's not really a debate. Structurally it was a debate. It was timed, there was a question, it was moderated, but really it wasn't a debate. It was one informed, educated person and one person who was completely out of his depth and had no idea about anything he was fucking talking about. And that's really the problem when people like Lacy say, oh, I want to have debates. Well, who's going to be on the other side? Because I can't think of anybody on the anti-SJW, anti-feminist side that I think is educated enough and informed enough on whatever the issue may be to have a debate. And I laugh when people
real quick, Steve, sorry.
Yeah,
real quick.
No, go for
it. If you saw that debate with her and Blair, at one point, go to the 2-hour mark. Blair goes, the FBI gets their rape statistics from two feminists. I swear to God, two feminist professors are giving all the rape statistics nationwide to the FBI, and Lacy goes, no, you can go to the FBI's website, and Blair's like, I guess we'll agree to disagree. That's it. I'm out.
Yeah. Because the FBI doesn't have better sources than that. They can't collect data from law enforcement. They have to talk to college professors. But anyway, and the other, I laugh when people challenge me to debates and they're like, I want to debate you, and they usually want to debate about feminism. Why are you challenging me? Like, who the fuck? I've made some videos in support of feminism. I'm very pro-feminism. You know, women's equality and gender equality is a very important issue to me. But I'm not a professor. I've never written a book on the subject. I have a pretty good grasp of the basics of it, and I know what I believe, and I have a pretty good understanding of the larger issues. But I'm not exactly an expert, nor have I ever claim to be, nor have I ever presented myself in such a way that I think anyone who knows shit about it would take me for an expert. So the fact that you're saying, I want to debate feminism and I'm going to get Steve Shives on the fucking debate me, like, okay, so you've cued to everybody who knows anything about it that you don't know shit about it because you think you're going to accomplish something by debating some dude with a YouTube channel who occasionally makes pro-feminist videos. Like, that's gonna accomplish something. So their choice of debate partners on our side makes me question them, and just the complete absence of legitimate debating partners on that other side is just the whole thing is a fucking joke. They're not. A debate isn't possible.
That's my issue with that's my issue with the kind of debate.
You've got to debate Sargon, obviously, because you've got to debate him over an issue that was gone a decade ago, 9/11 trutherism.
Yes, exactly.
That's my issue generally with the whole reactionary anti-feminism video thing is then, you know, if they actually wanted to disprove feminism or debunk feminism or something, they wouldn't be targeting fucking 12-year-old girls on YouTube and going through their videos. They would be going after academic sources. They would go through, because there's screeds and screeds and screeds of academic research on this stuff, and I suppose that's why they say that social sciences aren't real sciences. So we don't need to bother with that. I'm gonna go and fucking pwn a 12-year-old girl. And feminism is officially destroyed. You know that.
And actually,
you know,
you raise a good issue about academia and feminism that sort of circles me back to a thought on Lacy, actually, because she might earn enough from YouTube with all this new anti-feminist shite, but what she does, what her day job has been going around universities doing sex education and stuff. She is going to find it increasingly difficult if she associates with the kind of rape apologist, slut shaming, going after 14-year-old types on YouTube. She's going to find it very difficult for sex education, lecturers and so on and so forth, to have her as part of the course. They're not going to invite her in when she's been hanging around with people who basically say, well, if a woman was dressed a certain way, maybe she was asking for it. No, they're not going to invite you to the university anymore. Your career's dead.
Real quick, I just want to add something to what Kevin had said. Sorry. She knows that she's going to make more money on right-wing welfare. Just like Dave Rubin learned that right-wing welfare is the way forward from Young Turks, just like Cassie J learned that they, as a token for the right wing, a progressive will make 10 times more money going to universities and going, hey, I used to be one of them, and then I learned better.
Hey, so Rose had something to add? Sorry,
this specifically had to do with the blocked thing, because I've had a few people occasionally go like, I'm blocked by Steve Shives, especially when I made the tweet when Steve Shives first followed me, because unlike what I was joking earlier, I don't actually have Steve blocked, but when it comes to the whole thing in the first place, I really don't care who the fuck you're blocked by. I mean, the only time I ever have an issue with being blocked is if it was someone who I liked who blocked me, and even then I'm not like, oh my god, how dare they block me? I'm more like, oh, that's a disappointment. I wonder what I did to get them to block me. And I kind of move on with my life.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of honored that I'm kind of honored when someone approaches someone else and says, oh, can you get Kev to unblock me, please? I like him. And you think, you've heard of me. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you care that I've got you blocked?
I actually, funny enough, I had someone who was blocked by Steve, who basically was like, oh, can you get Steve to unblock me? I basically said some stuff that I shouldn't have said, and Steve blocked me, and I said, look, I will try and talk to Steve, which I did, but basically Steve has this thing where Steve doesn't answer unless you like repeatedly do it. So I was like, hey, look, I'm not going to pressure him. But this was someone on Facebook who was originally on your friends list, Steve, and they were generally a nice person. But, you know, I was kind of like, look, I can't, like, I don't control Steve. I'm not like his puppet master. I can't get him to unblock you. I mean,
typical Steve.
To be fair,
typical.
I mean, coming from a feminist, it makes sense that they might be a bit like they were like, yeah, I understand that Steve might not unblock me because Steve warned me that he was going to block me if I didn't stop saying what I was saying.
Yeah, all I did was rampantly insult his family and friends and just call him all the names under the sun. And all of a sudden,
all I did was say I wouldn't even rape you. All I said is I wouldn't even rape you. Why did you block me?
And I came to an epiphany on that, actually. These people are so insulated in their own little bubble, their own little fucking safe space they've created, their own echo chamber, that he genuinely couldn't see why that was an outrageous thing to say. He couldn't work that out. Like,
well, I mean,
I tried pointing it out to him, and he's just like, "Oh, it's just a joke," as if that's fine. Oh, it's fine. Never mind. You just say you wouldn't even rape someone who's a rape survivor. It's fine.
Hey guys, okay, so I think
we're not talking about the other side enough.
Yeah, we need to rein it back in. So
fuck the other side.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of.
Hang on, why did you hang on? Whoa. If you wanted to stay on topic and not get drawn off on ridiculous rants and stuff, you shouldn't have fucking invited me on. You know
what I have to say about our side is it's perfect and it's never done anything wrong ever. Everything this side has done is perfect. Quote me on it.
I feel like the talk about block lists is kind of important though, because I mean, because for some reason it shouldn't. I don't think that it should be a controversial thing, and that's why I want to talk about it. Is because I don't want people being blocked to be controversial.
Could we talk about like something a perspective that I found quite interesting, and I think Chris kind of touched on it before, but as a straight white cis dude, it's difficult to understand how it could feel to have someone like Lacy, for example, deciding to engage and befriend and all this sort of stuff with people who spend a lot of their time perpetuating misinformation and about marginalized groups like trans people, like women, like people of color and things like that. So for her to suddenly become buddy with these people, I can imagine that could hit home and hurt a lot more than it could just for someone like me. And I know that having talked to a lot of trans people and a lot of people of color and stuff, they feel a lot more betrayed in that sense. And I don't think a lot of people kind of understand, a lot of people on the other side or whatever, that is something that is kind of happening. A lot of people are like, oh, just get over it. She can talk to whoever she wants. But
yeah, I mean, it's just the dismissiveness which really annoys me. She's so dismissive of anybody who has like a mild critique using kind of like feminist language. So if someone says check your privilege, she's like, you don't get it at all.
Yeah.
Understand. My privilege is I have no privilege. I'm perfect, and you're an unreasonable, insane, radical extremist.
Go for it,
I woke up this morning crying into my pillow.
Yes.
That.
Victim.
And you're like, over criticism?
The hottest life in the world.
Mild criticism, really? Like people, it's not like people are going hard against her. There aren't people like trying to pressure her into suicide or anything, which is usually the experience that you hear about from trans people when they talk about what happens.
Someone said check your privilege, which is just disgusting.
Yeah, exactly.
Language.
It's
oh
like,
my God.
Like, is it necessarily? It might be a slightly overused thing that people have said.
It's a bit condescending. It can be.
Yeah, it can be, but who cares? Ultimately, ultimately, that is not a bad thing to
my
say.
life.
That happens so often though. Like, I mean, it's like whenever I say to people, I've been trying to explain to people on, again, the other side recently about when me specifically use the words like racist or sexist or transphobic or whatever. I'm not trying to tell you that you're an awful person. I'm trying to tell you to engage in some self-reflection and check on the biases and prejudices that you hold that can lead you to maybe doing some stuff, and
they don't hear it that way though. They hear it through a prism of ego.
I want to bring up just the one thing that I want to bring up, and people know that I'm not. I'm generally in agreement with everything that you've said. I've made in a video that was very critical. The one thing is, I do see some problematic issues with the way that people are discussing her private life. And I know she threw it out there, you know, she gave us a picture we all didn't want to see. You know, but,
Well, some of us, some did.
but even so, I do think it can be problematic to be overly focused on a woman's private sexual decisions. So
Sure.
I just wanted to like say that, you know, in public, we keep this in mind, you know.
Well, but the thing is, the thing that changes it all is how dismissive she is of critics. I didn't care about this at all before. I didn't give a shit. But then I see the way she's just like blocking out anybody.
She's been
from,
awful.
you know,
And she
that
needs
changes
to
my point
take
of view.
accountability and responsibility for how badly she has mucked this up from
But also,
beginning to end.
people will say stuff like, but you're hanging out with Steve Shives and Michael Rowlands and they're block crazy and they're terrible people, so you're a hypocrite. But you guys are open about the way that you do things. You're not pretending like you're creating this like magical dialogue where you're bringing everybody together, but then you block half the people. She's saying like, oh, I'm creating this like new center Dave Rubin-esque kind of dialogue, but she's not. That's just false. So she's kind of lying about that or something. Whereas
Yeah,
you guys are
it's
open
not
about
real.
it. Like Steve's like, I wouldn't piss on these people if they were on fire. So he's very open about it. You know? You know, so that's why it's slightly different.
I do.
to
I
me,
say
because-
that. That's a
Yeah,
quote.
She's pretending.
Quotes to that, yep.
She's creating this big
I
distinctive
have-
dialogue. She's not doing that. So it's just false. You know?
When it
That's
comes to the Lacy thing, I have really just one thing to say is, one, fuck her, I have her blocked, and two,
I'm sure she's torn up about that.
I'm sure
yeah.
Maybe that's why she
Oh my
woke up
God, yeah,
crying into a
That's
pillow.
why she's, I'm
Woke
blocked
up.
by American Anarchist.
Okay, but it's like, okay, I really don't care that she's dating Chris Ray Gunn, like whatever. I personally wouldn't like it. I personally don't find him attractive, but I'm not here to tell you who the fuck to date.
It'd be funny
And
if there was an option.
then
like,
just-
call him up, like, hey, bro, can we go out? Like,
But
sure.
Lynch. Damn it, I'm thinking of another person I know named Michael. Rollins basically made this point that like I have to agree with about trans people feeling. I myself feel very betrayed by Lacy as a fan of her sex ed videos, and it was kind of how I introduced myself to feminism, and that is also what got me into it not only got me into feminism, feminism then led me into like my anarchist views, my stances against hierarchy. So I felt quite a bit betrayed when I realized that the people she's talking to are serial harassers. These are people, like, we're not just talking about people with really horrible views. We're talking about people who have actually taken part in harassment campaigns. And that is what I have a problem with, is how horrible these people she's interacting with are. And then, I mean, I also understand, too, that, like, we can't also just, like, when it comes to the apology thing, there is a great point. I don't think that her apology was sincere, but we also shouldn't be like begging her for some kind of apology either, or telling her that we need an apology. I say we just accept that her apology. I think we accept her apology for the really like cis sexist shit she said back in the day was insincere, and we fucking move on. I mean, I'm not one of those people who searches for an apology or digs for an apology.
Go on.
I don't think there's actually anything going on, but someone brought that up as like a point just generally with society, is that when we make apology, like when people make apologies, this happened a couple of years ago though, that she made an apology about some cis sexist comments she had made. I'm not.
Who's being?
Oh,
Who's apologising?
Name
Lacy.
Lacy. Not at the moment, but this happened like a couple years ago because honestly, I think we just accept that she wasn't sincere and that she's not a good human being, and we kind of move on. It's why I blocked her, was so that I wouldn't see any of her tweets anymore, because it's not good for my health to engage in this shit.
Academic Agent had a good question. He said, can I ask why identity must define you utterly? This is my key problem with so much of this. So he's asking, like, why is being trans or whatever such an incredibly important aspect of someone's identity? I don't know.
Well, to me,
he's just wondering, I guess,
fact-
because he doesn't know.
All right. Well, I mean, I would like to answer this question as resident trans person here. For me, it's because of the invalidation that I see of a lot of trans people. I see it as I see it as like some kind of struggle. Ultimately, we are all human. Trans women are simply women in reality, but saying that we are trans basically kind of puts in that we're basically trying to push for our own rights. We're trying to get visibility as a different kind of person, but still a person. And I hope that response makes sense to you, because I do think that
a lot of these people like complain about like anti-white racism or something. It's like, well, why would you care about that if like identity didn't matter to you? You know?
Yeah.
Something bad happening to a group of people, why did people care about it at all? Like, if you see like some BuzzFeed video where they're like, hey, white people, you should just get over it.
I think a lot of it comes with actually how society treats certain identities and certain the fact that
all right. Well, I just want to say that I'm done. I answered, by the way, just letting you guys know that, because Steve said that.
Yeah, Steve. Hey,
jump.
Yeah, so Steve's got to go soon, so I'll let Steve say his thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, I just want to sort of throw in that anybody who ever asks that question, who sort of gets exasperated and says, "Oh, why do trans people always have to define themselves by their transness?" or "Why do black people always have to define themselves by their blackness?" Anyone who says that, anyone who ever has that thought, before you say another word, just take a moment to appreciate how good you must fucking have it. Because I have never in my life felt oppressed or marginalized or pushed to the side or erased or devalued because of my whiteness, or because of my heterosexuality, or because of my status as a cisgender person, or because of my nationality, or virtually any other thing about myself. And for someone like me, and it's usually someone like me, it's usually a pretty privileged person who says something like that, like, well, why do they have to make it all about their identity? For someone like me who has never had to answer for any of that, who has never been made to feel less than because of something about me that I was born with, that I didn't choose, that I had no control over, to ask that question, such a tone-deaf, condescending question, why do they have to make it all about their identity? Because their identity is the thing that people keep using as an excuse to take things away from them and to hold them down and to rob them of basic rights that people like me were born with and have never had to defend. It's an incredibly tone-deaf question, and it shows a huge amount of ignorance and lack of empathy and lack of understanding for the plight of people who are different than you, to say that. Anytime anyone starts pissing and moaning about, oh, identity politics, I just want to shake them and say, just take a second to appreciate how good you have it, if that doesn't make any sense to you. Because I guarantee most folks who find themselves having to talk about their blackness or their transness or being gay or being a woman or whatever, they would love for it to not be an issue. Yeah. I'm sure most black rights activists would love to just be a person and not have to be a black person, or just be a person and not have to be a woman or a trans person or a gay person. But it's not up to them. The world doesn't give them that choice. They have to fight for everything they have. So just take a second to appreciate how good you've got it before you move on with that conversation. And maybe next time, don't ask that question.
I can say that the guy who asked it didn't really listen to your answer. So
yeah,
judging by his
that's
reaction.
a shock.
He,
That's a shock.
His reaction is just like,
that I
that's
had,
bad.
yeah, that's happened to me as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've said that to people
We've got
before.
some engagement going.
Hey,
Yes.
I, as a white man, have been living in such a place where I am a white man. You know, like I've been living in a black neighborhood or whatever, and I'm just like, oh god. Anyway, sorry. Hey, thank you for that, Steve. Chris says she needs to get going. Do you want to say anything before you leave, Chris?
Just bye. I'm sure you guys will have this all sorted. So
Thanks,
later on,
Chrissy.
you could let me know where it's
Bye-bye.
fixed.
Y'all should go
Bye, Chris.
and watch
Yep.
Chris's
And
latest video about
See you,
Lacy.
Shives.
Bye-bye,
You should go and watch
Steve
Chris's latest video. Definitely go and do that. And thanks, Steve, for joining as well. Sorry, Steve had to go as well. So I'm just going to introduce Kayla. Thanks for joining us. Can you guys mute yourselves, please? Because I'm getting some weird echo.
Everyone should go and subscribe to Rez immediately, otherwise I will fuck you up.
Yeah. Go to Rez, please. Her channel is.
I already have massive crushes on both of y'all, so stop.
Woo. So Kayla, do you have anything you'd like to add
Check out that
about
channel.
what's been going on? I mean, I've seen you've been sitting in the chat, chatting away there, but like, if you have something to say, go for it.
Well, I have always got something to say. This is an interesting conversation for me because I came into this like group thinking, and I still have this feeling that you should talk to everybody, that there should not ever be anybody that's off limits to talk to. And when this whole conversation started, like this was even something that we were talking about before Lacy did Lacy. And I was always very like, you should talk to everybody. There should all like communication is the most important thing. And first of all, I'm very like against judging any one person based on the group that they're in. So if they're like an anti-SJW, that doesn't mean anything to me. They're still a person, right? So I'm still very much on board with that, and that we should be communicating across the lines, both, you know, SJW wise and politically wise or whatever, you know, because there's cute people on both sides, right? But I have gotten to the point now where I'm thinking maybe still do that, but privately. I used to think publicly was the way to do it because, you know, people who are watching can get something out of it. And I'm not saying that I don't still believe that to some extent with some people, but in my experience, as a newbie to this whole group, I have been spending a lot of time on some of the anti-SJW channels, and I go into their streams, and I watched the one, Michael, that you did with Peach Valley recently, which is actually the one that finally, I think, shifted my viewpoint on this. And I went from, yes, talk to everybody all the time, to it might be a waste of time to do it publicly. Because as I'm sitting there listening to you talk to Peach, and you're making these, you know, not outlandish, not extremist, you know, perfectly reasonable arguments. And then I'm watching the chat, and nobody is listening to anything you're saying. They aren't hearing anything you're actually saying. They're hearing what they think you're going to say, what they've been told you're going to say, what they expected you to say, and they're reacting to all of that and saying these things in the chat to all of those things that you aren't even saying. I mean, you didn't say any of the things that they were saying that you were saying right there in the chat. Like, I'm there. I can hear what he's saying. He's not saying those things, right? So I'm just kind of at the point now where I think the anti-SJW crowd is a whole new banana for me, for one thing. I mean, like, it blows my mind that this is even a thing on YouTube, that there are these two groups that are at war with each other, and the things, it's crazy. It's really blows my mind. And I really did come in this very naively going, listen, if we would all just talk, like, look, you know, I'm sure Bering's a good guy. I'm sure that he just likes to be funny, right? And I'm sure, you know, like, I really did come in very naively. And then I started realizing what all of y'all had been telling me, which is it's for the money. On their side, not every one of them, and I'm just going to say, like, I still would like to befriend and talk to people on that side, just not publicly, because I think that's a waste of time. But they are in it for money for the most part. And in my mind, that just takes away some of their genuineness, right? So if you're not genuinely concerned about these issues and you only want to continue to make money off of the issues, well, then clearly you're never going to shift your focus. You're never going to open your mind, because that goes against your brand. It goes against your living. It goes against how you are paying your bills. So I think I'm at that point now where I'm like, I think I still want to be friends with people. I still want to make friends with people on the other side. I want to talk with and debate with people on the other side, but I think privately is a better way to do it now, because publicly seems it would be different if people went into the stream and actually listened to what you said. And that's what I was assuming people would listen to what you were saying. But then when I sat there and listened to you talk to Peach and say all these incredibly reasonable things, and they didn't hear a word you said, they didn't register a word you said. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly then they're not going to listen to you. So I guess in my mind, I've gotten to the point where I think, yes, we should be talking to the other side, but on our own time.
Yeah, very, very good points. I just to add a small thing, you know, we often get feminists never disagree with each other. Why feminists never disagree with each other? See, the thing is, we do it all the time. I disagree with plenty of my friends and feminist colleagues and all that sort of thing, but we do it privately. We don't do it in public to grandstand about, you know.
And there's always the false dichotomy of, not false, the catch-22 of either if we agree with one another, we live in an echo chamber, or if we disagree with each other, we're cannibalizing one another as always.
Yeah, there's always that, and there's always the either if you don't talk to someone, then you're a coward, but if you do, then you're obsessed.
Yep.
Crap.
Yeah,
hey, welcome back.
exactly.
Chris.
There's no middle ground at all.
Yeah, no middle ground. It's always
Can I
black
say
and white.
something?
It's binary. Yes, hit us.
Yeah, I just wanted to react to something that Steve said beforehand about people not understanding, you know, what it's like to be in an oppressed minority, or, you know, basically, why do people need identities and labels? Why do they need all this language or this scholarship, or, you know, this these activist efforts to try and fight for the rights? And he said, you know, that these people don't understand. And I think one of the problems is that a lot of people think they do understand. Because, you know, I could say I've been misgendered because I had long white hair at one time. I've been, you know, called white. I've been afraid to walk out at night. I've been beaten up by men, you know. I can say a whole lot of things about myself, which has one-off experiences. And the problem is basically a problem of empathy. It's a problem of, because I had this one experience, that makes me think, oh, I know what it's like. You know, I know what it's like to be a woman. If she says, well, she got treated worse because of her gender. Oh, well, I've experienced that once, so now I know. So a lot of people think they do know, and that's why they're asking, why is everyone so offended? It was just this one-off thing for me. It was just a singular experience. And they don't understand that it's completely different to have that kind of thing happen to you every day, have it influence your educational opportunities, job offers, you know, everyday interactions, just getting up and going to the shops or whatever, you know, getting dressed, or if you're a disabled person, all kinds of things, because, you know, everyone's had an injury. You know, that doesn't mean we understand what it's like to be disabled or to live your life in a wheelchair. So I mean, I think it's kind of the
sorry,
can you hear me?
I was cutting off.
So yeah, so a lot of it's this sort of difference in empathy. People think they understand. Think they understand the other side because they have had some kind of human experiences, and they're just not equal. If you actually listen, if you stop and listen to what people in these various groups are saying, and that's what made me a feminist in the first place, is like, I don't know anything about this. I'll stop and listen. What are you got to say? And I said, oh no, I have never experienced anything like that. And here are some studies to back up the statistics and stuff, but. Yeah,
I also think a lot of the time the anti-social justice people are just massive hypocrites, because the moment something like Dear White People is on Netflix, or BuzzFeed says something that they don't like up to white people, they go ballistic, like completely ballistic, and you've just got like endless videos about the anti-white racism BuzzFeed shit, and it's like, oh my god, if you had to face real issues in your life, I can only imagine.
Also, I've seen several people in the last few days who are free speech warriors. Yeah, that's fine. free speech warriors passing around the petition to get Kathy Griffin sacked for holding up a fake head.
For hurting our fifis.
I made a big issue out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have made an issue
My
out of
feelings
that.
got hurt.
Yeah, Peter's video.
He's the
on
president. Just fucking deal with it, you prick.
Christy,
Other presidents have had their actual fucking brains blown out. You can't even fucking take a picture, you prick. Deal with it. Sorry, go on.
Christy had something to say, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Yeah. First, I want to say what Tom was saying before was really important and a really good point.
Christy's
and
back.
I wanted, yes.
Notice. I was like, whoa, what the?
Also, you know, there's something here that I think reflects the two communities' ways of dealing with stuff, right? Because they live in a ponage culture. So when Sargon takes a picture of a civilian and posts it on his Twitter feed, right? And other people make all these videos going, oh, Sargon, you're bad. Maybe they didn't do it for that, you know, but they do ponage back and forth. Now, I can't think of anyone who has had more disagreements than Tim and myself. And that's because it's mostly politics, you know? And I went on a hangout. I went on Tim's channel, I think it was, and we had a lovely chat because you know what? Unlike 90% of the things, we actually agree. And on 10%, we disagree. But I know when I go hang out with Tim, he's not going to call me names or humiliate me. And we're going to be able to basically be reasonable people who just disagree on a few things. And so what they want, I think, is for us to pwn each other the way that they pwn each other for their entertainment. Not because we're being intellectually honest. And so, you know, I think it's also, if they worked out their drama in private, it would be, actually, YouTube would be a nicer place, you know? But they have their own, they own each other because that's what they do. And that was the point that I wanted to.
I'm working on a video about this right now, and I mentioned the exact thing you talked about. I'm like, oh, so we never criticize each other? Well, here's me and Christy having a 2-hour long hangout where we strongly disagree about politics without trying to destroy each other. Wow, it's amazing. You can do it.
Yeah, I know.
Incredible.
Pete, did you have something to say about that?
Oh yeah, there's I think she touched on what specifically is really the issue, the difference. We look at this as attempting to solve problems. We look at this as attempting to further ideas, whereas they look at it as entertainment, and that's the problem. It's total entertainment forever, to quote Father John Misty. I don't know.
Also, culture war.
It's the culture war.
Too. Good.
Yeah.
Such good music.
Total entertainment forever.
God damn.
Yes.
But it's not just entertainment. It's also like trying to ruin and wreck.
Yeah, well, that is entertainment for them, though. That's their entertainment. They think that that's funny and interesting, and that's the where you and I would look at a documentary and go, "Well, these are interesting points. This has inspired me. This has made me think and feel, and that they see that as." It's not real world stuff. It's entertainment in their world. And that's the reason why it's so dangerous, I think, is because they don't view it as anything real. They view all of this stuff as just, it's just some idiot somewhere.
And it doesn't, it's not, I've never met anyone as unfunny as Bering. It's not like their definition of funny is like calling someone a cunt. That's funny to them.
Yeah, exactly. I've
To
timed
play
it so
devil's
well.
advocate, I think he's really funny.
What?
I'm a bitch, but I think he's. I know. I get guilt feelings because I laugh at Bering. I'm sorry.
Well, we have to play Bering bingo though, so you get some actual.
We have to be open to other ideas. We have to be open to the other side. Tell us about why he's funny.
I mean, like, look, he's a jerk, but he's a funny jerk. I'm just gonna say it.
I did this video recently called "Bering Isn't Funny," where it was a video of his where he'd taken a video of Brianna Wu and then like did responses to her thing. Like, so she said a thing and then he was like interviewing her or something. And it was kind of like that, that thing that happens on like the Late Show or whatever, where the guy interviews Sean Spicer. He's in the audience and Sean Spicer's saying a thing and then he asks him a question. And you know, so he's planned the questions, so it's funny what the things that Sean Spicer says back to him. And I kind of assumed that's what Bering was doing, but it was so not funny. So what I did was I went on like a hangout thing and I did it myself. I came up with a whole bunch of responses or questions to the things that she said. And then I played them all after my questions. And some of them were funny and some of them weren't, but at least his things were just not at all. And then his
Humor is
response to that was
subjective.
mine.
I was just gonna say humor is subjective. That's
Yeah,
what
I know,
you
much
have
so.
to. I don't
Very
find it
much
funny
so.
myself, but I do. I get why people think that just timing out insults in a certain way is funny, because that's some people's sense of humor.
Yeah, I think it's just like real lowbrow though. Like, and
I think he just goes too far. I think that's one of the things that I have a problem with. Like I like having a point to humor. I think that humor is a weapon. I think that like for me, like just a one-off joke. I mean, it can be funny, but it's usually funny when it actually subverts some sort of cultural norm to me, as opposed to like that person's dumb.
Yeah, like satirical
Well,
criticism.
but it's not just. Can I just say, in my defense, it's not just that person's dumb, because I don't find Leafy is here humorous at all. I find Bering to be like a smarter version of Leafy to me. Leafy's not funny
Well, then
at
it's
all.
just it's his
I can't
accent
help it.
then.
Bering,
Shots
the way he
fired.
said.
It's his accent.
Yeah, it's his funny Australian accent. Oh, raises.
Yeah, his accent is he got better timing by default with the accent.
Okay,
Right,
can I
now,
just
now there's going to be a video
Oh, yeah,
about
Kevin,
this.
Kevin needs to say a thing because he's about to.
There's going to be a video about this.
Yeah, well, he's gonna say
Shut
we
up, Tim.
silenced her.
Yeah, it's coming.
I'm
She's back.
sorry. I shouldn't have said anything.
How
No,
dare
it's
you.
good.
We silenced you. You've been silenced.
You were blocked.
Go for it, Kev.
Okay, I'm
It
going
was silenced
now.
with an apostrophe, like a punk.
I'm gonna mute my mic now.
Everyone say goodbye to Kevin.
Please keep cutting off Kevin.
Goodbye.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye.
He's leaving.
Bye.
Cut him off.
Joining Kevin.
Bye. And especially.
Yeah,
Shut up.
Kevin.
Cut him off
Anyway,
before he can say
yes.
goodbye.
I'm going to kick him before he can leave. Get!
Get out of
Oh,
here! You're
God.
out.
You can't leave.
You're the weakest link. Goodbye.
You know,
See,
you know who
the
actually.
the video will be about finding Bering funny, but I think the wider
Yeah.
news is just get Kevin.
I gotta.
Recently the use of like political satire and things. The fact that there's so many amazing political satire shows that that use comedy to criticize and point out the absurdities of a lot of stuff. I think that's a really awesome use of comedy, and I find that stuff quite hilarious and also very informative, rather than just calling someone a cunt.
I find very quick.
I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna, like we were saying, humor is subjective, and if Rez gets a kick out of it, that's her sense. I've got very dry sense of humor. I like British humor. My brother loves sitcoms, broad humor. So yeah, I'm not we're not gonna gang up on her for that.
No.
So
I didn't mean it that way. I apologize. I didn't mean to come across as saying that you're bad and wrong for that. I find it bizarre. That's all really.
you can't help what you find funny. You can't really help if you find something.
No.
Can I clarify just one thing really quick to keep my nice card?
What?
I don't think I've ever found myself laughing at anything he said about any of my friends, because I get defensive about my friends.
Sure,
but there
sure.
are other videos he's made about other things that don't have anything to do with people I know personally. I just wanted to, can I keep my nice card? Because I don't laugh when he's making fun of y'all.
Well, then, I get that, but I do have a question on that. What about people that you don't know?
No, I agree. I totally agree that this is hypocritical of me. I'm not. That's why I say I feel guilty when I laugh about it. I do. I feel. I watch because I try to stay out of the echo chamber. I don't want to be in the echo chamber, so I watch because I got guilted for being in the echo chamber. So now I watch for that reason. And you're right. I should not laugh at him. But all I'm saying is that I disagree with you guys that he's not funny. That's all I'm saying.
Shame.
I'll say I think you have a decent.
Okay, I'll stop now. I have a feeling I'm going to get something in the mail saying that all of my shit's been revoked.
Nobody.
I think this is good timing.
No, Rez, this is a safe space for you. You're safe.
Your SJW card is being taken.
The Dark Mother is upset with you.
Yeah, Anita, our Dark Mother is upset with you, although there's actually a really quick point that I want to make that's been like inside of me since anybody brought up BuzzFeed is I don't like BuzzFeed, but for way different reasons than the anti-feminists. My problem mainly comes from their recent article where they were like, why communism is making a comeback, and they sounded like a grumpy old conservative in the way that they talked about it. And two, their corporate structure and some of these scummy practices they've done with their employees.
That's a good point.
That's basically my issue with them. So I think BuzzFeed is cancer, just like someone like Baring would, but for totally different reasons.
Yeah, but the whole culture war crap can obscure the fact that BuzzFeed is still just like pop corporate.
Or as you called it, the culture woe, when you were on that hangout with Spino.
Yeah, I was trying to find a good thing.
Culture woe.
I had numerous ideas. The culture woe came out on top. Whoa,
Hey, someone,
wow.
can I say a thing on BuzzFeed? I think so. Like the whole.
No.
Good.
Okay.
I have a thing too when you're done.
Yeah. I want to like the whole because we were talking about why people who go on about how BuzzFeed is racist or MTV is racist or whatever like that, and I feel like because everyone I've talked to, again on the other side, that when we talk about racism or bigotry or whatever like that, they have a very I'm going to say different, but I feel like it's a very narrow, definition of what racism is. And as far as I can understand, racism to them is like a really overt, obvious, like thing about a person with a different skin color. So so making a TV show called Dear White People or having, resolutions for white dudes is like racism to them because it's really obvious. It's like punching a black dude in the face. That's an obvious form of racism that that they can see, but it ignores all this like the really insidious, subtle, nuanced forms of racism that those all get ignored. And again, that comes back to the problem of when you accuse someone of being racist, because of those more subtle, nuanced things, they get all defensive because they think you're talking about this, oh, you're part of the KKK or whatever. And it's frustrating because I try to explain that to people, but they don't seem to get it. And also I think that is a reason why this whole Dear White People outrage thing kind of happens. It's I don't know.
Yeah, so there's no subtle forms of racism. They don't exist.
Yeah.
Basically.
Peter, do you want to go? Then I want to make a point.
Yeah, I think BuzzFeed is actually part of not necessarily the big problem, but a problem in that it sort of represents a very bold, a very unnuanced, as you were saying. It brings in a sort of a lifestyle marketing version of feminism or whatever thing it is. A lot of the reason I think that a lot of people just hate these ideas outright is because they get this sort of lifestyle marketing version of feminism through BuzzFeed or through a Dove soap commercial or something like that. You get all these really, really like
Pepsi.
Contentious, very undetailed views of these ideas that are disseminated in the normal way, either through commercials or through viral videos or things like that. And they get that is a contributor to how their views are not right on what people are putting out there. I think, anyhow.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. What I wanted to say was, being an American that then moved to Europe, my experience of the concept of racism changed based on my geography. So in the States, it's very much tied to national origin or your ethnicity, like where your heritage is. But when I came to the UK, people use the word racism in very different ways. There would be a joke about Eastern Europeans, Poles or Romanians coming over, and people would say that's racist. And it struck me as very strange because you're talking about white Europeans. Okay, they're Slavs, but they're still sort of Europeans and they're still in the same skin tone. So, what there is a lack of, I think, is a word that kind of covers, it's a form of bigotry, but it's bigotry based on something like a national origin. Or when people say that, we say awful things about Muslims, that's racist, and people go, oh, Islam's not a race. It's that kind of divide, I think, between people who come from maybe a more North American perspective. I don't want to speak for Canadians. I don't want to so I'll just speak for Americans. So at least from an American perspective, coming over to Europe, because, there is stereotypes about Italians and Spanish and the French and the Germans and the Brits. And obviously they can be playful, and they can be a little bit of, taking the mick, but they can also be, really damaging or hurtful or prejudicial. You think about the wars that have gone on in the last century, and terms used like the Hun and Kraut even, to diminish, just like we had, racial epithets for people from some Southeast Asia that I'm not going to say. So I think the concept of racism, and then we're getting way off of engagement, but it is insofar as you need a common terminology, you need common language when you're talking to somebody. And if I use a European understanding of racism and someone's using a more American one, we're going to be talking more at cross purposes than really communicating. So just some reflections.
Hey, Peter. So Peter has to leave. It was great to have you here, Peter. Thanks for offering your.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Peter.
Very good points all around. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for joining the Echo Chamber.
Bye.
Bye. I wanted to touch on two things. Yeah, Christy, the whole. What do you guys think about the statement? There are stereotypes exist for a reason.
Well, certainly, like when it comes to like European things, yeah, there are some cultural differences that are you can find them, repeatedly, but not. So from like from a psychological point of view, a stereotype is just like it's a bit of a heuristic. It's a cognitive shortcut. It's a way that we help organize the world so that we don't have to rethink things over and over again. And not all stereotypes are negative. It is the case, though, that when people use negative stereotypes, we tend to just use the word stereotype. Right? So Americans are stereotyped as being very gregarious, a bit loud, needing personal space, needing way more personal space than a lot of other people. These are all stereotypes. They're not negative, but there are things that you can turn into negative stereotypes. And then instead of meeting an individual, you just treat them as that negative stereotype, and then you deny them their humanity. That's the problem, in my opinion. Just
very quickly on positive stereotypes, because the alt-right sometimes uses this as a defense, which is to say, I can't be a white supremacist because I think that Asians are good at math and black people have big penises and stuff like that. Any form of stereotype, whether it's a positive or a negative stereotype, is a form of dehumanization, and in the end is extremely reductive, and in my opinion, can eventually become dangerous.
Yeah, I think that's the issue that I have is just using that as a defense against, checking your privilege. Like if someone says to you, hey, this thing, maybe that's not such a great idea to be holding. Oh man, stereotypes exist for a reason. Get off my back, man. I think it's just a bit of a cop-out.
I have to agree with Bronx Blogger and Logical Llama here. It is kind of a it is really a cop-out. Oh yeah, that's right. You hijacked Logical Llama's channel, Moikel.
Yeah. He's
Moikel.
currently sleeping in the basement. I had some other things to bring up if everyone's finished talking about stereotypes. I had all these thoughts, but I don't want to be like, Ma, my channel, me say things now.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing to add. I just wanted to say I agree.
So nothing out of the norm then. Whoa, zing-a-ding. Sorry. So first of all, I wanted to say we were talking. I think Rez brought up the thing about echo chambers, and I wanted just to say about if you're a feminist online, echo chambers don't exist. They just don't. There's absolutely no way of maintaining an echo chamber because for every person you block, 10 more people will come and share their opinions with you, and they'll make a video about you, and they'll do this and do that. So it's just not possible. So there's that.
I again don't know that I agree.
Really?
But I mean, they say that this is like an echo chamber. This is like 7 or 8 people who kind of agree. But the anti-social justice side does that constantly. They do it all the time. They have like massive hangouts that are just like heaps of anti-feminists and anti-social justice people agreeing with how awesome and skeptical and reasonable they are and how evil the social justice people are. So it's just rank hypocrisy. I think like there are pockets of echo chamber in basically all communities or spheres on the internet, basically. You know, so who are they to complain so much about that when you see like, oh, look, here's another hangout with, like, there was a hangout with like Sargon, TJ Kirk, Shoe on Head, like Chris Raygun a while ago, with like, we respond to Anita Sarkeesian. I'm like, oh, I'm sure you a lot of like there'll be a lot of disagreement in that stream. There'll be a lot of like variety of viewpoint. Like, no, there won't. There's pockets of echo chamber. You know.
Did you?
That's all.
Go ahead and say what you need to say, Riz. And this is totally okay. You're allowed to disagree with us. We have no problem at all.
We're not an echo chamber.
Not me, though. The others. Okay,
I just think.
I'd like to welcome.
I just think it is entirely possible to remain in your echo chamber. I think that before I started reaching out, or not reaching out, but actually branching out and started watching other people, I was 100% in my echo chamber. I think that you can very deliberately stay in your echo chamber. I think that it's entirely possible. So I disagree. I think that, you know, stuff might come across your plate, but you just shove those to the side as if they don't exist, and then you're still in your echo chamber. So I don't agree that they don't exist for feminists, but I totally agree with what Tim said, that they're on both sides. But that's like my default argument, right? Is everything you guys blame us for doing, y'all do it too. So
I totally agree with what you said. You know, I can't kick you because I agree. Yeah, I mean, like what we're doing right now is somewhat of like an echo chamber kind of thing. But if you look around the internet, there's cliques everywhere. They're all over the fucking place. And I've seen so many streams, which is just like 9 anti-SJWs ragging on Anita Sarkeesian.
But
so,
like,
who are you to talk about that?
Echo chamber implies that you are always having your own views just reinforced all the time. You're talking to, and it's echoing back, and you're hearing the same things, and you're not having your views challenged at all. And as when I say a feminist online, someone who puts their ideas out there, the instant I started putting out ideas about social justice and all that sort of stuff, straight away, all these opposing opinions, people commenting, sending me thing, instantly. It's just so to. And to say that this is an echo chamber, talking with your friend is an echo chamber? What the fuck is that?
Well,
angry that more people on your side aren't bashing you.
So bad.
It's people who disagree. People who disagree with you are coming on, but they want more people from your side to come on and say, "Michael, you fucking cat. There's only 2 gays."
Can I just say,
you know?
if you want to see the feminist echo chamber on YouTube, then just go into the comments. That's where I spend my time. I'm in the comments, and everyone's agreeing under feminist videos on everything all the time.
Can we have Martin talk for a bit? I want to talk about echo chambers, but I want to hear from Martin because I want to hear from Martin.
So welcome Martin Hughes from I forget the name of his blog. Breakback.
I'm just gonna grab another coffee. You guys just agree.
Hey, I'm Martin Hughes from the blog Barrier Breaker on Patheos. How's it going, guys?
Great to have you here.
Thanks.
Have you had a chance to listen to what we were talking about earlier, or have you just kind of?
Yeah, I was listening to what you guys were talking about with, I guess, echo chambers, and the debate seems to be as to whether or not echo chambers are a good idea, or whether or not what we're doing right now is an echo chamber.
Yeah, we kind of got a little bit off topic with what we were talking about earlier on. We were talking like, as the title of this implies, is the, I suppose, the pros and cons of engaging with the other side, quote unquote. And so everyone's kind of outlined their ideas about that, about going on hangouts with people from the other side, about doing debates, and about just being friends with people. So maybe you can add in your thoughts on those things.
I mean, my experience as far as debating with the other side, you know, you guys may already know this, but like last year I challenged the Amazing Atheist, or I guess he goes by TJ Kirk now, to a debate, and his requirements were basically that he wouldn't do the debate unless he could make money off of it. And I think that there's something a bit off-putting about being employees, basically making money for people and consenting like openly to make money for views that we fundamentally disagree with. Like, I can understand how sometimes that gives greater visibility to very important positions that should be in the discourse, but at the same time, earning money for platforms that we fundamentally disagree with, has some pretty understandable problems with it. And so that's one of the reasons why the debate didn't materialize, because I didn't want to go on that platform. And also, like, to be honest, a lot of times those platforms are very, very one-sided. When I was debating with Steve, when I was talking with Steve Shives about about TJ Kirk last year, and I know this is just about me. I mean, it's a very small example, but I think this is characteristic of what I've seen in a lot of other places as well. The debate, basically, the discussion on places like the Drunken Peasants, and I've seen this with other people on Bearing's channel and so on, basically degenerates into oh, look at that person's nose, or look at that person's smile. Like, it's trying to dehumanize the person that you're talking to, and it doesn't necessarily, the focus isn't necessarily on the debate points themselves, which, and it's very, again, like, one-sided, which, again, may not be healthy. So I'm not completely against, talking to the other side. I have a lot of caveats about that. Those are just two of them that I'll just get off my chest briefly. Making money for a platform and uplifting a platform that you fundamentally disagree with, it's understandable. People should understand. People having qualms about that. And another thing is, like, is this really a debate, or is this really just an opportunity for somebody to come on so that you can dehumanize them and license your followers to tear them down even more? There's a lot more I could say about that, but those are a couple points.
Yeah, very good points. Those are some things that other people have voiced concerns about as well. I think the making money thing is quite important, and I think that's a concern that people have voiced. I don't know if don't know about this myself. I haven't really thought about it, but what do you guys think about the timing of Lacy's decision to engage with the other side and the financial side of that?
Super chat. 2 words. Super chat.
I feel uncomfortable. There's information that's coming out, and the information is being collected, and I think the information will, in retrospect, the timeline will become clearer. So I guess I don't want to speculate too much on motives in absence of her making comments, but there are interesting pieces of information coming out that are quite revealing, and usually, as like I said, these things emerge over time. They sort of ripen, and then you have 2020 hindsight, and so I don't think we're at 2020 hindsight yet.
Yeah, sure. Just before we continue, I'd like to thank Tom for joining in. He's got to take off. It was great to have you here and have your vision on the thing. A very interesting point of view, because, like you say, you're mostly a YouTube commenter rather than a
Yeah,
thank you, Tom.
Bye bye. Good night or good morning. Whatever.
Oh, where can I follow you or something? Do I already follow you? I don't know.
Yeah, are you on the tweeters?
Yeah, I'm on the tweeters. I'm on everywhere.
Well,
so you'll just be there.
Then yeah, he'll come.
Are you Tom Bloke?
No, he's too cool. That's someone cool.
You said Tom. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Lol. Hey, thanks, Tom. We'll talk to you soon. Yeah.
Hey, Mike, can I follow up on that super chat thing that I said? I'm not sure if I was clear.
I actually do. I want to do a stream where I just turn on the super chat and I just sort of sit there and I'm like, so who's giving me money? All right, let's have a look.
No, have
And
you,
then
have
do
you
that for,
noticed?
like,
Have you
do
noticed
that
him?
for 2 hours. I just want to do it for 2 hours, just sitting there like, can I get a $5? Can I get a
The
$5?
Rosetta-
Come on.
You should do an auction.
The Rosetta
But,
Stone
like,
to this.
auction
Yeah.
off your auction off you doing things, being like, okay, like I'm gonna
hold up this tape if
the
I
hand
get
job.
$5, but for now
Yeah.
Listen,
it stays under the camera until I get $5. $5. Look, here's the tape.
Yep.
once
Who's gonna give me
Real
10?
quick.
Who's gonna give me 20? Let's go.
Come on.
All right.
Once the shitlords could no longer monetize response videos because of the PewDiePie thing, instantaneously the Blair White Lacy Green thing, Blair White made an amazing amount of money on that fucking super chat inside of that debate. There are entire channels now and shows that are premised on just and they're so boring, just stretching and answering only the comments that are super chat. And the debate is a great way to do super chat because you put two people there, you got your person you support, and you tip them. And if you're on their channel, guess where the super chat's going to go? And then you do an under the table deal with the person you invite on, and you go. That's why Blair couldn't actually get Ghazi on for a debate, was because Ghazi said no monetization. And if there is monetization, there has to be his end of the monetization has to be donated to his political group. And she said, no way. But I'm telling you that all of this is about the fact that you can't monetize response videos, and super chat is easy to monetize in these live debates. All right, that's it.
I am going to do this. It's just going to be called super chat. It's just going to be me.
I actually want to do it as well now. I can't though. So you have to have 1,000 subscribers. So we need to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. So logical.
I was like, why is this not super chatting? We should be getting so much money at the moment.
Ridiculous. Yeah, fair call.
Yeah, the same thing happened to. The same thing happened to. I don't know what you guys' experience with this was, but when we were in debate negotiation, when I was in debate negotiations with TJ, it was kind of the same. It was kind of the same type of deal. He offered me. He was like, I'll fly you in, but it has to be on my channel, and we'll split whatever we earn from it. Like, money was about 75% at least of the conversation as to whether or not this would actually happen. So, yeah. It definitely plays a role, I guess.
I thought that whole exchange between you, like I followed the blogs and the videos and stuff when that was all kind of happening, and I thought it was very interesting and telling of TJ's character during that time. Yeah, it was very interesting. All right.
I'm setting up my super chat right now.
Before we close,
I will be here for the purposes of getting money off you. I will just do stuff, and I want super chats, lots of super chats. Let's see the money.
But here's one thing I'm wondering though too. Like when we criticize like people for doing things for the money, like something that just fascinated me, right? When I set up my Patreon account last year. Sorry about that.
Give. I'm just writing this description.
When
Tim, mute yourself. We can hear you muttering.
Mute. Go for it, Martin. Sorry.
When I heard so everybody, all these people were coming to my blog saying, you have a Patreon account. You're obviously doing this for the money. You're doing this for the money. The ironic thing was that these were all amazing atheist supporters. And then, TJ has been like suspected of fraud in the past. He's, making hundreds, thousands of dollars off of his fans. And nobody criticized him for, his Patreon account. Like, and I saw the same thing when I went on to, what's her name? Who's Armored June? When June retweeted my article, or when June tweeted my article, I saw somebody comment on that too. Well, look, he has a Patreon account. Where my Patreon account is like $100, and June's Patreon account is a lot more than that, and they never none of her supporters say a word about that. Like, I wonder to some extent if the criticism that they're just doing it for the money is something that each side basically does when they don't like. I mean,
the criticism
this is just a question.
The criticism of doing it for the money doesn't make any sense because
but maybe it's something that possibly each side does it. You know, when they disagree with where the other side is coming from, where the major disagreement is the views, but the money is kind of, you know, an added-on thing that you just do to the side that's, you know,
it's a way to
opposite you.
discredit.
Yeah. So I
well,
was
but
being,
also, like we said earlier, everything you can say that one side does, the other side does too. I mean, it's just really that simple. In so many ways,
we're not doing super chats. We aren't doing super chats. Well, Tim is
Yeah, I was
now.
gonna say, I
No,
cannot
I mean,
name.
I'm not saying that everybody does the exact
But
same
now we
thing
know
in the
about it.
exact same
This
way.
is not a
but-
joke. I'm actually planning this. This is gonna be fun.
I think the issue is accusing people is accusing assuming someone's motive is to do it for the money. You know, like
It's pretty. Hold on, it's pretty naked on the other side. TJ is very open about his greed, and you could go down the list of the programs that are live streaming and lavishing praise on these super chats.
No. Okay, so you know, that's fine. I think so. Like, I was being accused of doing it for the money before I even had a Patreon. And I was getting what, $2 off ad revenue or whatever, and then you go over and look at Sargon of Akkad's Patreon, and he's getting $5,000 a month. I just saw that fucking Jordan Peterson is getting $30,000 a month to be a transphobic piece of shit. You know that. So the claim that feminists are doing it for the money is a little bit falls on deaf ears as far as I'm concerned. But I also, like I say, I also think the motives thing is a little bit dubious. I mean, yeah, sure, it seems suspicious, but to say necessarily that someone is doing it for the money, I mean, if the money stream, like if Patreon stopped working and no one was getting Patreon money anymore, it would be interesting to see who would keep being an anti-feminist and who would not be an anti-feminist. But you know,
I think what I'm trying to say is that no, I don't think that all of us on this side are, could be said the same stuff about us that can be said about everybody on the other side. I'm just saying that there are definitely people on the left who are doing it for money, and there are people on the right who are doing it for money. It seems interesting to me that it seems like the people on the right who are doing it for money actually have a lot of subscribers and are making a decent amount of money, but the ones on the right who are doing it for genuine reasons, they actually care about the issues and understanding things and working and moving forward, they're all pretty fucking tiny, right? Because they're not nearly as interesting. But also you can go on to the left side and it's the exact same opposite. It's the people who are obviously doing it for the money and are kind of not too concerned about the ideas themselves that are making a lot of money. Like, look at the Rubin Report, who's supposedly left, right? But he's clearly in it for the money, right? I mean, like, you just kind of tell. And then we have people like you guys, clearly you guys and I aren't in this for the money, or we would be making more money because we could be total fucking assholes and make money like they do.
That's how stupid I am.
I would say
no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you can say the same thing about both sides, but not every single person in both sides.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I need to.
No, of course, yeah. My point was not specifically about like every shitlord does it for the money. My point is that Blair White and the Lacy Green thing was about money, and those big, the ones who are tisking everybody, don't scrutinize this too closely and stop fucking with us. The people who keep on crushing dissent, it's because you're questioning where the money's going.
Yeah. Well, also the thing that you said too about TJ is TJ literally, I can't remember how far back this was, but he literally said, "I hope to one day sell out." I mean, that's someone who's pretty open about doing it for the money. But I mean, on the subject of doing it for the money, I know that Mike doesn't do it for the money. I know I don't do it for the money, even though I have a Patreon that literally no one donates to. Cheap plug there. But I mean, I mainly want people to donate to my Patreon so I can upgrade my equipment, because right now I'm on a Kindle Fire. I don't have a PC or anything to make this a bit more professional. I'd like to have slightly better equipment.
You're obviously an anarchist for the money, aren't you?
A lot of people Patreons, they use
That's what it's over.
They use to upgrade their equipment and to make their production more. They use their Patreon money, or they say they do, at least in their things, to cover Patreon costs. Production costs. So that can be, if to improve your, rather than just being
and in addition to
buy some hookers and cocaine.
And in addition to that, I mean,
no, that's part of production cost.
I actually run a porn channel.
In addition to that, I mean, there's a simple fact that, if as little money as I get from, relatively speaking, I mean, but as little money as I get, relatively speaking, from Patreon, that enables me to write a lot more than I otherwise would. Like I can't, it's hard to justify the time that you spend. Because if I spend, whatever it is, like 6 or 7 hours writing, something that I deeply care about, you can't necessarily afford to completely work and put things out completely for free, simply because, there's something else that you could be doing with that time that could actually give you, money to live off of and to, pay bills with and that type of thing.
And that kind of comes back to
the fact, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the fact that the reason why a lot of people, who deeply care about these issues and have Patreon accounts on the left, I think, is because we deeply care about them. We want to do a lot of work on them, but you can't. It's like you have this thing that you really want to spend a lot of time on, but if you don't get any compensation from it, eventually you're not going to be able to pay your bills. So this the money in a way enables you to spend time on what you truly care about and to make that difference that you want to make.
Oh,
and that kind of comes back to the engaging with the other side thing. Like if you spend all your time answering people's comments on Twitter and on YouTube, and then going on hangouts with other people and defending your side the whole time, you don't. That's to some degree a waste of your time and a waste of your money, because you're not. How can you actually do the thing that you're actually trying to do? I make all these stupid llama videos, but people don't know some of that stuff takes like 4 or 5 hours to do. How am I gonna do that stuff and all the other stuff that I want to do if I spend all my time engaging with the other side? Because I have to be rational discourse.
So Martin,
sorry,
I was going to ask, like, when TJ Kirk talked to you, did you think he was just doing it to create some kind of money and bilk the audience somehow? Was that your impression?
When TJ Kirk talked to me, he boasted that his conversation with me got him more subscriptions, that got him more subscribers than he ever had in the entire history of his channel.
Well, that's good to know.
Was disturbing.
Yeah. Oh, he's hemorrhaging subs. Like,
he is now. He wasn't
subs.
then, but he's
basically saying like, "Oh, I used you. Now. It was great using you to get subs." Like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's
really he basically
cool.
used me to get subs for a while.
That's fucked up.
But in a way, like, I was very unabashed about, okay, now I have this voice, I'm going to use it. And I did things like, defend Francesca, call out Sargon of Akkad, who ended up having like a 4-hour stream on one of my, I was like, okay, now that I'm in this space, now that I have this visibility, for the 2 months that I have it, I'm going to try to make as big of an impact as I can. So in a way, it kind of helped bring visibility to some issues that I deeply cared about as well.
But
I guess your question was TJ doing it like completely for the money? I think some of it was for the money, but I think that he was also doing it. I mean, honestly, I think he was also doing it because he cared about the issue. He didn't want to be seen as racist. And he was also doing it to a major extent because he was worried about his YouTube channel being marked as racist and therefore getting strikes against it. He told me that as well.
But so that's just a money thing as well, isn't it? That's just his income again. It's about his image and his income, not about the actual issue. That's just him being a
Well,
narcissist.
he did. I don't want to like. I'm not. He did talk to me for about 5 or 6 hours, via PM back and forth, and through that, I could tell that he did deeply care about the issue. So it's not just. It wasn't just disingenuous. He did care about the issue. He cared about the money. He cared about his channel. It was like all of those things.
Did he care about the race issue, or did he just care about not being labeled as racist?
I think he cared probably more about not being racist than a race issue. I made that pretty. I was pretty vocal about that, but yeah.
That's kind of what I mean, you know. And that for me is just like him being a narcissist. And you know, if he's seen as a racist, then his channel gets, you know, marked as racist, and then he loses income and all that sort of business.
Recently about the Ariana Grande concert, he was all like, "Oh, I made a joke that the Ariana Grande concert really blew up," and then people said, "TJ, what's going through your head?" And I said, "Shrapnel," and I was like, "Oh wait, that was the victims." And then it's like, well, if you tell jokes like that, and then people say something like you're racist or you're a piece of shit, why are you crying so much? It's like that's the joke you chose to make, you fucking dumbass.
I was just watching.
But here's the most disturbing thing about, you say he's hemorrhaging subscribers, and one of the reasons why I almost hesitate to talk about him a year later is because I wonder how relevant he is now that he's like, because a lot of his former followers are now saying that he's not quite as, and the reason why, as much as I'm like, oh good, like people aren't listening to anymore, the other side of me is kind of sad about it a little bit, because the reason why they're not listening to him anymore as much, or they weren't, I haven't seen any of his recent, like last couple of weeks of videos or whatever, is that he's not as edgy as he used to be. He's not like as outraged as he used to be. He's all the stuff that most disturbed us about TJ.
Trying to be though.
And this is kind of calling out the audience, is what the fact that he's doing less of that is what is pissing a lot of them off.
But that's why he made the Ariana Grande joke, because he's like, it's still good, I'm still edgy, guys.
It is, it's exactly
one of you, I'm still the best. And he calls everything retarded, and they keep saying bitch all the time for like no reason. He's always like, fascism is retarded, bitch. And it's like,
edgy.
I agree, fascism is dumb, but you have to say it in such an inane way.
So I was watching.
Very quickly.
Oh, go for it.
Sorry, just in connection to all these points, I think that if you watch Sargon very closely for a long time, you will find that's right down to pizza. Whatever the most absurd shit is that his audience wants him to say, what Patreon says Sargon believes, no matter how. I have no idea. It's whatever Patreon says, including Pizzagate, including the most ludicrous thing ever. If Patreon says Sargon believes it, Sargon will make a case for it, because that's my impression. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Oh, he's definitely like one of the stupidest people ever. He really fools his audience, because what he does is, you know, like in his This Week in Stupid, he reads out writing that has been written by people far smarter than him, who are good at writing. They're professionals, and he writes out these professional things, and then he just goes on. You know, when it's down to Carl, it's, you know, it's ranting and burbling and nothing. He doesn't read. He's not interested in being accurate. He's really the sort of the saddest but most pathetic man I can think of in the UK.
And he keeps owning himself. He's the king of South Hollands. Like recently in his video, like, Sean, do you think I'm a conspiracy theorist? He's like, well, Sean, it turns out that Hitler probably did escape to Argentina because the FBI said it.
Oh, yes.
Owned. So much for me being a conspiracy theorist. It's like you just repeated the conspiracy. It literally is a conspiracy theory, so Sean is literally right. And then he's like, and then at the end of the video, he's just laughing at Sean like, oh, Sean, you're so stupid.
Yes.
After admitting that he is a conspiracy theorist. He just
Sean pointed out, it's that reactionary style of reacting to a thing, right? Where you read like a sentence and then you react to that sentence and then you move on and seemingly forget everything else that you've read in the past or watched in the past. you know,
I don't understand the laughing about how you owned yourself. You're like, well, Hitler did escape to Argentina, Sean.
this is dimmer than a fucking, you know, black dwarf.
It's bizarre. I don't understand.
I just wanted to say real quick that I was watching this Andy Warski video last night, and as many of you may know, I've been on a bit of a tirade about Andy lately, but he said, I'm not racist. And then he went on to say, I can't live with too many black people because I want to own expensive things. And I was like, what? What?
Maybe you can understand. Maybe he should understand why people call him racist, because he says stuff like that. That's so.
I mean, Andy. I've seen maybe a couple Andy videos just to see what was up with that. And what I saw in that is what surprised me is the same thing that sometimes surprised me with Trump. Like, he'll just come out and say it. Like, there were some points where he was like, there was a video, he was like, yeah, Francesca talked to me the other night, and she kind of made me feel guilty a little bit about like how I do my channel, where she's trying to make me feel bad. And he's like, I'm not going to feel bad. Like, I got here, and he actually said this, I got here by being mean and being cruel and being vicious and, like, you know, all these slurs and all this stuff. I got here by doing that, and I'm going to keep on doing that because those are who my followers are, and that's how I got my popularity. And, you know, I'm not going to lose out on where I am right now by suddenly being nicer.
He scolded her for soliciting empathy.
I was in a state of shock a little bit because he actually like voiced everything that I had suspected about him, and I'm like, well, there you go. That's what the audience is looking for, I guess.
And apparently he was two-faced on that, because he was talking to her and saying, like, making good points, and then he turned around in public and said, fuck you. And it was like, okay.
And that's basically what Bering did as well. When we eventually cornered him on his whole being a piece of shit thing, he just put out a video saying, fuck you, I'm going to do what I like. Which is the dickheads.
In private, a lot of the time, people are like, yeah, you're making good points. Like, this is, oh, you know, that's something good to think about. Like, oh, okay, I'll consider it. And then the moment they come around and making a video, they're like, I don't have to change anything. Fuck you, you
money. That's money. That's branding, Tim. That's called branding, buddy.
I know. I couldn't do that. I couldn't just lie to people.
Hello, Cole.
Hey, Lady Columbia.
Welcome, Lady Columbia.
Hello.
The bottom to see who can be the meanest.
Ralph Retort is in the chat. Oh my god.
No, I blocked him.
Don't you have a police officer to punch? Anyways.
Sorry, Christy, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, it's a race to the bottom. Who could be the meanest, stupidest, biggest asshat on YouTube? And they're all trying to be number one.
And one of the things I'm thinking about that, like, one of the reasons I suspect that may work is because the more you can dehumanize other people, like the more you can dehumanize other people to your fans and to your subscribers and all that, the more you can get your fans to treat them cruelly. And the more cruelly you can get their fans to treat them, the more you can, you know, just basically take out your competition and, you know, gain your own popularity. Like, you know, the people who, the anti-SJWs who are the biggest experts in dehumanizing their opponents, are very effective, you know, like Bering and so on, are very effective, it seems like, from what I've seen at least, from you guys, is in getting smaller channels shut down and keeping their, you know,
it's like
and then blaming the people who got inundated with hate for shutting down their own channel. So they get inundated with hate, and then they get blamed for shutting down their channel after being inundated with hate. And
it's like the Stanford experiment, right? The experiment with like giving people, you know, making some people police officers and making some people prisoners, and the way that the dynamic changes and the awful shit that people do to the prisoners when they've been dehumanized. You know, the things that you can justify when you start dehumanizing people, calling them cockroaches and leeches and all this sort of shit. You know, the things that you can justify. Yeah, it's kind of awful. Hey, Christy, do you have something to say? I see you've taken yourself off mute.
Oh no, sorry. I was just I think I was just quipping, and then I forgot to put myself back on.
That's all right. Hey, welcome, Lady Columbia, to the chat. It's good to have you here. Do you have anything
Hey,
baby.
to add to what we're talking about?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I wanted to agree with, I think it was Martin who just said it, that there is this sort of race to the bottom in terms of anti-SJW YouTubers who feel like, you know, the ultimate goal for them is to bully us out of existence and to just be as cruel as is humanly possible. And I think that can only work for so long. I think that only works with a certain audience. And I think that, you know, once your audience stops being 14 to 17 and grows up a little bit, then they're out of that kind of viciousness range where they want to deal with this, you know, crazy bully whose entire goal is not to advance their position or to argue, you know, in good faith, but to sit here and to treat other people like they're absolutely horrible for advocating for things that aren't even that radical.
Yeah. And I think in addition to that, I would say that you know, the way that they do that, it's kind of hard to put your finger on. Like, it's hard to call them out on it because they know what they're doing. I mean, Christy has done an excellent job. Christy has done an excellent job of showing that there are. I'm sorry, I just got a text that distracted me.
It's fine. I'm getting blown up. I'm getting blown up as we
What have I done that's excellent? Please continue. What have I done that's an excellent job?
Christy is excellent. Sorry, I got
Christy. I lost my train of thought now. Christy has done an excellent job of showing how what I was basically saying is that I'm sorry, I've got to take care of this text. Somebody else speak for a second.
I was just going to say that academic agent said that, in his opinion, the worst person on YouTube is Michael Rowlands. So you're disgusting.
Love it.
I remember all those times you doxed all those people. I remember all those
right,
death threats and rape threats and all those people that you sent on other channels to harass
Michael
them.
just keeps sending me rape threats, and I'm just like, listen, we can rape later, all right? I got stuff to do.
Private to me all the time, and I just won't talk about it. Stop sending me death threats, Michael.
Sorry.
For real.
Well, no, like Michael, you've got a point of view people don't like, and you block people, and that makes you the worst person on YouTube. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
I thought Steve was Master Blocker. Don't take Steve's Master Blocker title.
It's because he's ginger, isn't it? I'm just going to say it.
I'd like to welcome.
You take Steve's.
I'd like to welcome the liberal ogre. Liberal ogre. Was that how I say it properly?
The liberal ogre.
The liberal ogre.
The liberal ogre. The liberal ogre.
The logo.
Damn it! You talking so badly, Mike, made me fuck up.
Hey man, I've been doing it for a couple hours now. My mind's a little bit.
I get it.
Still on mute. What were we talking about?
I mean, I don't want to start drama, but like Christy and the liberal ogre were having a fight. Is that over now? Is that done?
What are we talking about?
Can you actually hear me? Am I getting?
Oh yeah, we can hear you now. Hi. G'day.
I was saying I was in the middle of being Batman there when the game crashed, and I saw this invitation, so I decided to jump in. I was
going to say Christy and liberal were having a fight. Is that sorted?
No, we weren't having a fight. We had a disagreement on Twitter. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, disagreements on Twitter. That's like war. You know.
Yeah.
It's a declaration I don't follow things like that enough. So.
Yeah. Because sometimes we get in disagreements about politics, and it can get quite heated.
No, that was by Christy.
Which is weird for an echo chamber.
Yeah, I haven't blocked him. I don't think.
Okay.
Kevin Shived. We got to get that thing going. When someone blocks you, you got to say shived.
Shived by Winters, yeah.
Shived by Winters.
Shives.
Shived by Shives.
You become Master Shiver when you shive shives.
You know, that whole thing, the irritating thing is I meant to actually do a video after just saying, you know what, I was going to be like, just because of something that happens to Twitter, it doesn't make somebody an awful person. It doesn't invalidate everything else they've said. And I wanted to like piss off a lot of people by saying you should go subscribe to Christy. But I haven't made videos in like a month and a half because I've been so busy. So I actually, the project I'm working on right now, I was going to do one probably tomorrow announcing it. So no, I've been working on a workshop program bringing critical thinking and engineering technology to high school students. I'm dealing with like the superintendent of a couple of school districts. So I've just been far too busy to do videos lately. So I'll do something announcing it official tomorrow, I think. But otherwise, I have no idea what's been going on. So
we've been talking about our opinions on engaging with quote unquote the other side, and how, you know, in like debates or like hangouts like this where we discuss issues or where we just become friends with, and people have been sort of sharing their opinions on that and how productive that can be. In light of the recent, I was about to say the recent racy lean controversy.
What does the liberal Lobler think about it?
I caught tangentially what's going on with Lacy Green, and I guess she's interacting. My understanding from what I gather is that she's a significantly sized channel on YouTube. So a lot of these alt-right, new right channels, they see in her an opportunity to spread their message. And since she's playing nice with them, I guess you could say that they're engaging each other. Is that what's going on? Because I haven't really followed it beyond that. Because I don't really watch.
She's also started going out with Chris Reagan randomly.
You mean like dating, going out, or just like
dating? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's love conquers all. So I can't say anything else about that. I don't know enough about that.
Sean and Jen had the most awesome tweet I've ever seen on that. Did you guys see Sean and Jen's tweet on that when he was like, I don't understand this feminism thing. What's it all about? Oh, I need to find out some other perspectives. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm now engaged to Chris Reagan. I was like, that's so good.
He's got so many good hot takes. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, have any of you had any luck in engaging with these people? I know Christy, you've done a show or two. Is that right? I'm not sure. Or has it just been videos back and forth?
Yeah, I did the formal, not with Lacy, you know, I did a formal debate with Sargon, and some people like Kevin have gone with and done hangouts with, you know, War Corps and stuff. But we kind of, one of the things we focused on a lot is just the monetization side of it, and how much of, you know, the big people on that side who are making thousands of dollars a month on this have basically an incentive to keep a certain type of content and keep people in a certain type of box. There's not a lot of profit in becoming really good friends and starting to see other people's point of view and changing their minds. So yeah, there's sort of a bit of a loggerheads in terms of, you know, where they can go before their audience starts to walk away from them. Yeah.
And my understanding from what I've seen is that they're all kind of heading in a pro-Trump direction. Is that correct?
Well, except for TJ, and then when he came out as anti-Trump, he's been shedding subscribers, like I think 7,000 or 10,000 this month.
Only when Trump said that he was going to ban marijuana.
Yeah,
I was wondering about that.
Don't touch my weeds.
It's like turns out Trump was a liar. It's like no shit. He's spent his entire life has been lying.
Have you not? Yeah, TJ actually, from what I remember, he actually said something kind of in passing supportive of Trump before he got elected, and I think he was part of the crowd that didn't genuinely think he would win.
Oh yeah,
now they're all kind of stuck.
Like, he was saying all that stuff like it would be a real shock to the system, and it would shake it up, and it would show the system what's up. And then when he actually gets in, he's like, oh, he's not really anti-system at all, and he doesn't like weed. I don't like this guy.
Yeah, no, like I grew up with Donald Trump in my city. We lived with him here and knew exactly what he was. Yeah. So everything he has done, I am 100% not surprised by.
So it's rather shocking that people are like, turns out Trump's a liar. It's like, yeah, it turns out what is wit. Like, What the fuck?
Him winning is actually the worst thing that could have happened to him. They had a great antagonist in Hillary Clinton, and they could have ridden that. The only thing that actually is slowing them down is that
Hillary.
Yeah, but no one gives a shit about that. The mainstream audience they would have pulled in would have been people who were like aggrieved from Trump losing, and now that he won, they're gonna listen to me. By the time 2020 comes around, they're all gonna go, Trump. I don't know anything about that guy. I never voted for him.
Trump who? Trump T. Rump?
Yeah.
What's that
Except
again?
for Carl. Carl will still be on the Trump train, and
Yep.
the 9/11 was done by aliens train, and Hitler is some.
Hitler
South
lives in
America.
Argentina and he's
Are
175.
you telling me that 9/11 was not done by aliens? This surprises me.
No.
It's such an echo chamber.
Pyramids, the lizards.
Well, I love these British
9/11.
guys who just have all these opinions about American politics, and
Oh yeah, definitely.
it's just great. I love the damage they're doing over here. There's things going on in the background outside of like the whole Russian scandal and everything. Like what Sessions is doing with the justice system over here is a friggin' nightmare. And I talk to people who work with the ACLU daily, and we're having incidents where we've had ICE go to grade schools to look for immigrant children, basically, where the schools have had to turn them away. So we have things like this going on. And then I have people like at one point I saw a tweet where Sargon's like, oh, if I had a cup to fill with all the liberal, SJW tears, you said that to something I said. And I said, well, I'm not talking about complaining about feelings being hurt. I'm talking about actual people dying. I'm talking about death.
Oh, I wish I had
millions of deaths from lack of health care,
might
things
lose
like
healthcare,
that.
die.
Yeah. So
that's one of the most. I think that's one of the most annoying things about Trump and about this other side is that the day after the election, and Lacy Green had this same reaction too. The day after the election, we were like, "Wow, like this is out." Well, so much for dreaming about LGBT rights, like so much for,
But he held a
better
flag,
healthcare, so much for like these actual issues, and everybody on the other side was like, "We won!" And ever since that date, all the way up to now, that seems to be the general attitude. Like every time we bring up these actual issues that we're concerned about, for it's not just about Trump, it's about what he's doing practically in our lives.
He held a flag once.
Then it's just about, he's just making a big deal. They're just making a big deal about it because they're upset about
I would
Trump.
genuinely like to know what they want outside of a greater solidarity and strength for white nationalism.
They hate
'Cause
migrants,
really,
immigrants, and
I
brown
genuinely can't see what they've actually want. On healthcare, they're screwed. Because I get the insider information because I actually manage health plan for the company, so I have to talk with the brokers daily about this stuff, and we managed to just barely squeak by with only an 11% increase because Obamacare was not struck down. And next year, if they strike it down, we're looking like a huge increase. It's going to be a problem.
And
so
on the economy,
we lost. Yeah, the economy was improving basically under what Obama did, and there's been a lot of my industry, for example, which is in systems integration. We've kind of had a small boom because the first thing they did is they're like, well, yeah, we're going to make a lot of jobs. Well, okay, maybe we're not going to make a lot of jobs, and it's actually cheaper to just get rid of employees and technically to just automate things. So we've had kind of a boom in our industry, but it's carrying over from before because an economy the size of the United States doesn't work like that. Trump doesn't just walk in and bam, everything gets great. Everything's carrying over from the quarters before that have been going on.
I love how
but
when
eventually,
when Phil joins, it just turns into politics, basically.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
I'll tie up the loose knots. All right. So one thing that bothers me about one thing that does bother me about the other side, anti-SJWs, anti-feminists, is when you try to ask them, okay, what types of policies do you envision? What do you think should be done? If the gender pay gap was real, what would you do about it? And then they just start talking about man-spreading or something. There's no, they seem to have no vision for what they should do with their power.
Talking about the real issues then, yeah.
I know. That's unfortunately why they won't engage me. Is I have a tendency to start talking about actually policy and issues, and that's something I want to deal with. Yeah. That's why they know platform. The term is
I'm just going to say liberal ogre. That's part of the reason I enjoy your channel, despite the fact that I may disagree on some economic policies. As I'm a bit farther left, I generally like hearing about what you think about policy. I don't think that gets talked about enough.
YouTube's terrible for that.
Yeah, I have to start up again. Like I said, I keep looking at your image and I keep thinking Khajiit is innocent of this crime. I can't help it. Whenever you talk, that's the first thing I think of. It's really
nerds.
Khajiit. Well, I mean, it was based off of a Khajiit picture, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Called it.
You commissioned one from me and you rejected it and chose someone else's. I was
yeah.
Hey, so Christy and Kayla, do you have anything to add about the whole Trump / SJWs, anti-SJWs voting for Trump or going for Trump or all that sort of stuff?
Well, there's a question I'd like to ask Rez, actually, because it kind of gets back to the issue of echo chamber. And that is because, again, I think concepts and definitions are important. And I'm sorry, I'm taking this back to a conversation we were having like 45 minutes ago.
Cool. I want to bring it back.
But what constitutes an echo chamber? How much agreement do you have to have within a group? And this is a question that I'm asking because I think it'd be interesting to explore. Now, for instance, in this hangout, when we started, everyone basically agreed that they weren't going to try to impose their views on anyone else. So there was uniformity in that. However,
I wasn't here for
everyone's
that.
Position was, okay, everyone's position was different. Some people liked hangouts, some people liked formal debates, some people said don't talk to them. And we all respected each other, but we all disagreed. So we agreed to disagree. So is that an echo chamber, or does an echo chamber mean that if you disagree, you're booted out? And I think maybe, again, this is a definitional thing, because one person could think, I think you could have a reasonable case for either one which is a bunch of people who generally disagree, even though there might be slight disagreements, versus like a rigid ideological, if you don't believe X, Y, and Z, you're not one of us. You have to, if you only believe X and Y. And so I was wondering which of those, or a completely different one, do you think defines an echo chamber?
It's actually a very good question. I think that is not something I can speak to incredibly well, because I don't actually know. I mean, I think that within any echo chamber, there's always going to be some, because no two people are ever going to agree on anything. But I would consider this, please don't hate me, I love you guys so much, and I love my echo chamber, but I would consider this hangout fairly echo chambery. Not in a bad way, but just in a that's how life is way. When you are hanging out with your friends, you are going to, first of all, tolerate an awful lot of more from them than you would from somebody else, as far as differing opinions and whatnot. Just by virtue of being friends with somebody, you're going to give them more leniency in that regard, which lends itself to echo chambery kind of a thing. Just because you're you're okay with things in this little space that you might not necessarily be okay with if somebody else did it in a different space, right? So to me, that still feels a little echo chambery. And then and I'm not saying that this is bad at all, but because I get it and I would do the same thing in my chat, but just kicking people out of the chat is a little echo chambery, right? I mean, because you are choosing what you're going to hear and not what you're not going to hear. So I think it's, I mean, I don't really know. I wouldn't call this I think there are echo chambers that are toxic and where you are not even at all open to anything, even, somebody slightly different than you. And then I think there are ones that are more just that's how the world is. That really is just how humans are. We seek out people that we mostly agree with. And then on the things that we don't necessarily agree with, because we've sought them out and they're our friends and they're our people, we're okay with that difference. But we wouldn't necessarily be okay with that same difference. For instance, can I say one thing that happened earlier that feels a little relevant to this?
Yeah.
Somebody made a rape joke. I find rape jokes funny. I just do. I am a bad person. I have been raped. I understand that it shouldn't be funny to many people, but I do find it somewhat funny, right? especially when it's said by somebody that I love and care about. If that same joke had been made by somebody I don't like, I almost guarantee you I would have taken more offense to it. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Hey,
Which rape joke
I'm
was that?
curious what other people think on that too.
No, I don't want to call anybody
Okay.
out. I'm not going to call anybody specifically out. It was
Can I
Do you
comment?
mean, do you mean in this conversation?
yes. But
Was it me? It just
I'm
wasn't.
not saying it was bad. I laughed about it. It wasn't you. It was a woman, and I laughed about it.
It was me. It was me. And I'm not gonna say. And hold on, before you say anything, Mike, I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's not. If now, and here to Rez's point, had it been someone I didn't like, who said, you know, I don't want to call you out or whatever, I may have taken offense and been like, no, it was me. And, you know, if you didn't like it, okay, it is what it is. But it's Rez and I love her. So I'm going to be like, okay, you know, I'm cool.
Wait, can I clarify one thing? I laughed at the joke. I thought the joke was funny. Somebody in the chat scoffed at it, which is the only reason why I brought it up.
To be fair,
I
though,
thought the joke was funny, personally.
If everyone here said that was offensive, I don't appreciate it, I would have either A, defended the joke, or B, said, you know what, I said what I said, I fucked up, my bad, good night, guys.
Edgelord out and make a 10 times worse rape joke. That's how.
I think the issue, like, because when we talk about rape jokes, right, it's the difference, you know, it's the whole punching up, punching down thing. That was kind of like a subvertive of your expectations thing, where you can't agree to rape. That's not a thing you can do. And so I thought that's the reason why it was funny, right? So it was like it was taking a stab at that expectation, and I feel like that's a little bit better than just like, someone got raped, you know, that.
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying that. I understand, but I just might, and I'm not trying to dog, lady. You know I fucking love you.
No, honey, I know, we're
cool. The joke was funny as shit. I'm just saying, like, if Bering had made that exact same joke, this is just related to echo chambers and how we perceive the people that were in our echo chamber, right? I'm not trying to say anything like that the joke was good or bad or anything. Right. I'm just saying, like, as it relates to echo chambers, I feel like that very same joke would have been reacted differently to if it had been said by somebody like Bering. That's all I'm saying.
Wouldn't you probably make a joke where rape was the punchline? You know, like, because rape itself is funny, and then I would take it.
I could always be caught talking out of my ass. There is always a real genuine chance that I'm talking completely out of my ass.
I don't mind jokes that have a point. Like, if you're making a wider point about how rape apologists think, or like some criticism of an issue, then it's fine. But if the punchline is rape is funny, then I'm just like, And I didn't really pay attention to Lady Columbia's joke, so I don't actually know what the punchline was, to be honest.
Can we bring it back to echo chambers real quick? I'm going to.
Can I say so? One thing I'm thinking about as far as this whole conversation with echo chambers, and this kind of links a lot to what Kayla just said. I read something by Edward Said a while ago that was basically saying that the task of if you are a public intellectual, right, which we all kind of are, right, one of the things that you're trying to do is shed light on viewpoints, shed light on perspectives, on locations in society that people oftentimes don't really hear from, right? It's very much like the dynamic, I think, of if you're in a room and there's that one quiet person and everybody is talking, and that person has something to say from their perspective in the room. Eventually, it might be a good idea to say, "Okay, quiet. Let's let this person speak." And I think what we're doing here, yes, a lot of us have broad agreement. We have, some minor disagreements, but we have broad agreement on an array of issues. What we're doing here in the context of YouTube, where we're kind of a small corner, is making our voices heard. And I think that is important, because if you're always doing it in the context of a much larger group, like say, Sargon of Akkad's channel, or Blair White's channel or something, where you're going to be shouted down and not really fairly heard, then that viewpoint is never going to get out there. Like the context we're doing this in, being able to share our perspectives here actually is allowing a perspective to be heard publicly in a way that, in a lot of other contexts, it probably wouldn't be.
And I think there are a lot of
and I think to some extent, the other voices, a lot of the more dominant voices on YouTube, have to at least temporarily be silenced in order for us to actually have these conversations, in order for us to actually make these viewpoints public. And we're not just doing this in a corner right now, right? We're not just doing it, by ourselves. This is public. Anybody can come in, see this, comment on it. They can come in later and decide to chop up the video and make their response videos and so on. So in that way, we're constructing a piece of discourse with a view that on YouTube is often marginalized, and putting it out publicly for people to consume. And I don't really see anything wrong with that.
Well, Kayla was criticizing banning people from the chat. Earlier, I was just doing it as a joke, but now I'm just doing it based on...
I wasn't criticizing.
No, like, hey, you don't have to apologize.
Trying to stir up drama.
Look, everybody can just be who they want to be. That's all I gotta say, man. If you want to ban, ban. If you don't want to ban, that's cool too. I love everybody.
Look, you don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize for having a point of view. It's fine. But I'm just blocking based on mindless hate. So when people come in, like one person came in and said, like, "Oh, what a collection of faggots." I'm like, what is this person who said, "What a collection of faggots"? What do they have to offer? I ban them. Another one came in and said, "Michael hates criticism and he false flags people." So it's an accusation. I was like, all right, ban you then. And then Ralph Retort comes in and he's all like, "Oh, look at this circle of cucks." I'm like, well, you've got nothing to offer, so ban you. And it's not based on like, I disagree with them. If you come in and you have your own point of view and you actually listen to the dialogue and you've got a different perspective, that's perfectly fine. And if Kayla is like, "Oh, I find bearing funny," like, what do I care? Who gives a shit? It's not. You're not saying like, all of you are disgusting regressive cuck losers. Then I'd be like, well, Kayla kind of sucks. We should probably boot her. She's pointless. But you're not. You're saying, no, I have a disagreement with you. I've got a different perspective and a different point of view. Like, what? Where's the problem with that? It's no issue. So it's like, are you a mindless hater, or do you have something to offer?
You know what? I have to point something out here. Don't buy into their bullshit about echo chambers and free expression. Okay, in the first place, they're selling a product. That's what they're doing. They're not about free expression. If they were, then they would have been screaming and yelling about the fact that Trump has been locking up and arresting reporters from day one. They really cared about it. They'd be going on about that, but they don't. All they're doing is they're using that as an opportunity to inject themselves into your conversation. Okay, it's natural. Of course, you're going to ban people or block people from chats. If they're throwing shit in there, that's ridiculous and doesn't belong. That's just called common protocol and procedure. What are you going to let somebody come in and just like stomp all over your show, your product?
Well, I did think Kevin was blocking a bit unfairly, but that's Kevin. He's a loose cannon.
Oh, he's a twat.
And to Liberal Ogre's point, they're sitting here and talking about echo chambers. Oh, you guys are in an echo chamber. Okay, so point to me the people whom you disagree with, whom you interact with, whom you are allowed to interact with without, being pestered about. I feel like if you're going to point someone's flaws out, then you've got to make sure your own house is clean first. And I'm not going to sit here.
Sargon and Thunderfoot try to destroy each other when they disagree.
Right. I'm not going to sit here and take shit off of anybody who is covered in shit. All right. No offense. Like, I'm not.
Yeah. But I said, I shouldn't have to apologize for having a different point of view. You have to keep saying, like, "I'm so sorry that I'm criticizing." Like this.
No. Okay. And I think that's and Kayla's just the biggest sweetheart. Like here. Like, honest to God. Like, I love Kayla so much.
I'm offended.
But I think to some extent that's a symptom of us, of how we get defensive automatically. We're automatically ready for the worst in terms of conflict because of kind of how the other side treats us.
Because you don't trust me.
And I don't have a problem with anybody. Anybody wanted to come and talk to me. I don't fuck with Sargon. Like, I don't like him, but if he wanted to come talk to me, cool. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to take criticism off of people who would claim that I'm in an echo chamber and we're all just, regressive lefties talking to each other and we're never trying to peek outside.
But when Sargon made a video about me, he just did like, "Oh, Tim, this is autistic screeching. Like, you don't have any friends at all. This is why nobody likes you. Why are you so fucking unpopular, you loser?" And I'm like, is this like me? Is this something I can engage with?
Yeah, so
It's just a guy insulting me.
Kayla said before, she was saying about how again, Kayla, I'm not trying to rag on you or anything. I just wanted to address.
The background noise. Sorry, lady. Can you mute yourself when you're great?
Yeah, she just did. It's good. So how you said that this because of just the way the world is, that this is indeed also a type of echo chamber, and I wonder what the point of the label itself is if it's got such a broad definition for what can and what can't be an echo chamber. And when I encounter people saying that you're in an echo chamber, the implication is that you don't encounter any dissension, right? And I mean, I just went and I looked up a definition of echo chamber just to say what it actually is, because what we've got here and how I think about it. So an echo chamber, also known as an ideological echo chamber, or more longer-winded, closed ideological echo chamber, is a group situation where information, ideas, beliefs are uncritically bounced from insider to insider, amplified, where dissenting views are censored and ignored. And I think that, for me, is what the implication is when someone comes to us and accuses us of being in an echo chamber because we block people or because we're talking with our friends or something like that. And I feel like it's just a pejorative at this point, to try, like the liberal ogre said, to try and edge their way into the discourse. You're in an echo chamber, you need to not be in an echo chamber, come and talk on my channel, kind of thing. And it's like, it doesn't really we need to have a proper definition for the word. And I'm not saying this is your fault, Kayla. I'm saying that this is, it's just, again, I feel
I
I think you're right.
I advise not using the term echo chamber and just refer to it from now on as a civilized conversation, because that's generally what's going on. And with them too, for the most part, I would say neither side is really an echo chamber. What you have is you have a technology, like a software technology, YouTube, whatnot, whatever you're using, and it kind of lends itself to that. It's not so much the people; it's more the technology you're using. Like if you limit the platform and you limit it to like a one-on-one debate or something, for example, but the more people you have tossing in, then the less it's going to be able to actually be said and heard.
It's partly just humans, because like I see anti-SJW streams where they're agreeing with each other for 3 hours, and then I see other streams where they're just flinging shit at each other. So
well, I only ever use the word like ironically, like if I see, because I get accused of it so much, I use it against people, like, because I mean, and if I will say, if there ever is an echo chamber, it's a channel of a huge anti-SJW, because they put out a video and they get instantly thousands of likes, thousands of followers,
jealous,
and thousands of people. Yeah, I'm just jealous. Thousands of people affirming their ideas and no dissension. And whenever there is dissension, that is met with a massive swarm of people that essentially silences you. So for me, that more fits the definition of what an echo chamber is, as opposed to something like this. So I mean, it's like whenever I talk about free speech or whatever, someone's had their Twitter account turned down, it's hashtag free speech. I don't actually think that that's the thing, but I use it in an ironic way, because that's what they always go on about how you're silencing free speech or whatever. But it doesn't, it's hypocritical in my point of view.
Isn't Twitter like a private company? So how are we silencing the free speech?
Exactly. Exactly. If YouTube is YouTube is demonetizing videos because the stuff is not advertiser friendly, that's not censorship. That's just, if you're not, if a thing kicks you off its private company thing, that's not censorship. That's just you not being allowed to use.
Well, it is censorship, but they're under no obligation not to censor you. They're not.
Sure, but it's not a free speech issue, right? It's not like a Second Amendment, First Amendment.
They have no obligation to give you free expression, or free speech.
That's right. Anyone that closes you off, it's a form of censorship. But then there's government-sponsored censorship. So Twitter is free to censor people. Philip was right on the broader definition.
Yeah, see, I fought for a government. I fought for a government-run internet for these reasons, but these guys, they fought against it because they were all going, "Oh, free market," and I was like, "Okay, now you have a free market. You have YouTube, you have Twitter. These are private companies. This is your free market. Fucking deal with it." Like they demonetized all my money, my videos. You don't see me bitching about it. No, because
they demonetized all your money.
You signed the end-user license agreement. You agree to these terms.
I do it. I'm a man about it.
You can't sit here and cry. You can't sit here and cry. To me, in my mind, you can't sit here and cry. If you sign the end user license agreement, you agree to these terms, you agree to that contract, and now that you're in breach of that contract, you want to sit here and say, well, they're trying to censor me. No, you violated the terms of the contract. You have to pay the price. I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah. If they had a problem with it, they could have jumped on the censor tube movement we started back in like 2010. But they didn't, because all they really cared about was themselves and appealing to their audiences, you know, free market ideals. So they can basically, they've reaped what they sow.
Well, I was going to bring up the same thing that I keep wanting to call him his name. The liberal ogre, what he just brought up is actually a point that I was going to make about how a lot of these people hold this view of like free speech, these people that get mad about it when YouTube says, you know, we're demonetizing your videos because advertisers don't want to advertise on your videos. But a lot of these people are also talking about how they're in favor of capitalism. And if you're in favor of capitalism, you can't the logical conclusion is that you can't get mad when a company decides, yeah, this is not good for our image. We don't want you doing this. We're within our rights to kick you off the premises. We're within our rights to demonetize your videos. We're within our right. You're in favor of capitalism. You can't, especially if you're in favor of the free market.
On a piece of technology, logic.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot communists aren't allowed to have cell phones. Karl Marx forgot to mention that. Yeah. So did Kropotkin.
Triggered! You mentioned the name of the evil one.
Karl Marx, who killed 12 billion people with his satanic dialectic.
True facts.
So did Kayla have any impressions from...
Yeah, sorry, Kayla, we just kind of took your conversation and ran with it.
No, that's fine. I think that you're right. I think I was actually using the wrong definition of echo chamber. I think I may have meant more something like safe space. Because I think you're right. I think by that definition of echo chamber, this is definitely not that.
It depends what you mean. It depends what you mean by a safe space. Like, if you have a negative conception of a safe space, then you're like, that's terrible. But if your conception of a safe space is people can express themselves, I don't mean it in a negative way
at all by anybody. I don't think it's a negative. I think it's good to have a safe space. I mod for Randy Rhodes' show, and she's like very strict about kicking people out that want to just start fights and stuff. And I'm 100% on board with that. I think there are certain spaces that you need to be able to go where you can actually enjoy yourself and not have to deal with opposition. I totally get that. Right. So even when I call it a safe space, and maybe that's not even the right word. I mean, but I would definitely say that it's.
That's right.
Well,
I don't know how to explain it. We're definitely not here to debate.
You understand what a safe space is, so that's the difference between.
You're talking about platform hijacking, about protecting your platform to keep it on point. That's what she's doing there, Randy. Describing.
Yeah,
guys,
just
that I'm off on definitions. Again, I'm very new to all of this, and so I don't know exactly what. I mean, I just found out liberal was a bad word like a month ago. So.
Yes, it is terrible.
Like what?
Let me 1 second. So Bronx has to tap out. So it's been good to have you here, Bronx. I'm sorry you haven't had too much of a chance to, but you did in the beginning, which was great. So thanks for adding your point of view into this.
I want to thank everybody. We got to do this more. I think Martin made a really great point that the whole like shaming the echo chamber thing is a way to keep us from speaking amongst ourselves without somebody actively trying to debunk. I think that it would be healthy, just like the other side. They're smart. They spend a lot of time in each other's company discussing their issues. I think that it would work for us too, as a community to come closer together.
Agreed.
So
I think we need some opposition
much.
Here, though, so I think next time I'll invite on Wizard of Cause.
All right, it's bedtime for me, y'all. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
I should probably go too because I'm desperately hungry.
Yeah, it's getting up to about the 3-hour mark at this point. So it's been really good. I'm going to call it there because
I have to eat.
All right.
Yeah,
well, I am very proud of my channel being a safe space for people.
Yeah, baby.
That's not safe for liberals.
Haha. So I'm just going to go down the line, and everyone can say their goodbyes, and then we'll take it from there. So go, Tim. Say your thing. If you want to subscribe, like, and all that, so push your channel or whatever.
Come contribute to my super chat.
Okay, I will do it, Tim. I am one of your subs, by the way.
I want your goddamn money.
Yeah. Let me know how good that goes, Tim, because I want to do it as well.
I'm gonna make $10 million.
Subscribe to my channel. If you don't, I'll kick your ass.
Liberal
Sucker
Ogre.
punch.
Yeah, Philip Rose, the liberal ogre, formerly the True Puka, still technically the True Puka, but you know what? Don't subscribe to my channel. You'll probably just piss me off.
What's a puka?
That's usually what happens. So don't go over. Seriously.
What's a puka?
Reverse psychology. Nice. Hey, yeah, thanks, Philip. Martin.
Martin Hughes. I have my blog on Pathos, pathos.com/barrierbreaker.
Great. Hey, thanks for being here, Martin.
Come check it out. Subscribe.
Lady Columbia.
Yes. All right, so come subscribe to my channel, the Lady Columbia, or Lady Columbia, I don't know. I'm at the Lady Columbia on Twitter. It was great hanging out with you guys. All right, really enjoy it. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Christy?
Hey, so I've just recently put up my channel, Anti-Feminist Kryptonite. It's a feminist book that's well-researched and well-sourced and positive about feminism. And if you think Michael Rollins is the most awesome person in the world, then you should vote this video down.
Do it. All the dislikes. All the dislikes. Dislike this video immediately.
Oh, and you should unsubscribe too.
Yep, unsubscribe and don't give me Patreon money. Rez, go for it.
Yeah. In fact, unpledge if you're already pledged. Completely cut him off from money if you love his channel.
Pledge like $100 and then instantly put it down to 0, just to get my hopes up. Go for it, Rez.
So I just want to thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
It's been great having you.
It was great for me. Was it good for you?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Everyone go subscribe to Rez channel. She's got a really great channel. I think, is it Rez Please? Is that the name of the channel?
Yes.
Yeah. Go and subscribe to her channel. It's really, really good. And American Anarchist.
Well, subscribe to my channel, the American, there's no article in the front, Jesus Christ, American Anarchist. And if you don't subscribe, I will not kick your ass.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm not going to subscribe.
That's no, because you're not already subscribed. I've seen my sub list.
If I unsubscribe, do I get beat up?
Yes.
Am I not subscribed?
Yes. Well, Tim's a Nazi, so we have to punch him.
People often get angry at me for not subscribing, and I'm like, I should have. I just didn't notice. I'm sorry.
Anyway, my name is Michael Rollins. I have an actual channel called Michael Rollins. This is the Logical Llama and Skeptical Squirrel channel. If you enjoy some satire of anti-SJWs, then check out Logical Llama and Skeptical Squirrel. They're fantastic. I write theme songs. If you want a theme song for your YouTube channel, let me know. Go and check out my Patreon, Music Man Mike, underscores between the things. I'm on Twitter at music_man_Mike. I also have Instagram and all that sort of stuff where I play music and do things like that. So if you enjoy that stuff, please please dislike.
Wow,
do all the disliking. Please subscribe to my stuff and subscribe to all the wonderful people. And we will see you again soon. I'll see you. Bye.